I am who I am because I value my past. The memories of yesterday can never be changed, but they give me a reason to live again. There is a reason I am here today, but there is no reason you lost your lives. You were called abusive names, deprived of rights to be humans, slayed because of who you were born. I am lighting a candle as the sign of resilience. I'm paying a tribute. You left a legacy, and I'm a fruit from the love you sowed. Let's say never again to genocide. There should be no war. There should be no genocide. Anyway, let's say never again to genocide. Let's say never again to genocide. I was young, I still needed you, but you were taken away from me too soon. If I had one wish, it would be seeing you again. Today we're strong men and women, even though you are not here to see. We're carrying on to make you feel proud out there, watching down on us. I am lighting a candle as the sign of resilience. I'm paying a tribute. You left a legacy, and I'm a fruit from the love you sowed. Let's say never again to genocide. There should be no war. There should be no genocide. Anyway, let's say never again to genocide. Let's say never again to genocide. I am a witness that if you and I come together as one, we can make sure genocide never happens again. History should be told and passed on to further generations. Let's all stand up and all sing out, never again to genocide. Let's say never again to genocide. There should be no war. There should be no genocide. Anyway, let's say never again to genocide. Let's say never again to genocide. We are here as one nation. We say never again. We unite as humans. We say never again to genocide. Never again to genocide. again, never again, never again. We brought you flowers. 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 We brought you
Good evening, fellow Ambazonians, ladies and gentlemen. You're welcome to this very important broadcast, Ambazonia this week, the second of its, I think the first of its kind, the month of February. And we're going to be talking on something very important. I would like to, first of all, apologize for the late start. We having issues getting Barrister Fru and Commander Willie connected. I want to believe that Commander Willie at this time is connected. But fortunately, we do have Barrister Mbeseha with us, and there's some updates of the federal government in terms of the home front that we think Commander Willie will be bringing them to us in a bit. I pray that I'm able to get them here on time. Well, you would have seen the caption, Nsahlais, Father, Son, and Daughter would be the ones I will be talking about this evening. Nsahlais, Son, Father, Son, and Daughter. A letter that has been trending on the media now for more than a week, or for over a week, from Nsahlais, the failed lawyer in the United States of America, that has not won a single case in an evil endeavor to fight a peace-loving people who are standing up for an internationally and historically and legally justified cause. I'm talking about the Ambazonian liberation movement. The son of the Bulu woman and son of Nsahlais, Christopher Emmanuel Nsahlais, has decided to be a lobby for the colonial administration, the colonial government of Cameroon by default. In all his field effort, we have it that his attempts are centered on extorting money from the government in Yaoundé. So much has happened. The letter is raising some dust. Ambazonians, home and abroad, are concerned, and they've been asking questions. And that's why I'm bringing the lawyers here today who have read this letter to tell us if there is any cause for alarm. Yes, you all know Donald Trump is the sheriff in Washington as we speak. Donald Trump in Washington, and lots is changing, and one of these changes have to do with immigration. Rumors has it that the TPS has been cancelled, but according to reports, Donald Trump has revoked the temporary protective status specifically for Venezuelans. Some of these immigration changes that are taking place, drastic immigration changes, are they going to be affecting oppressed people from the Cameroons, particularly from Ambazonia, who are protected legally in America? This will be part of our discussion this evening. We'll be talking with the lawyers to see if it's affecting Ambazonians as we speak, or if it's going to affect Ambazonians. But while you are waiting to get this information or consulting your lawyer, we understand that the Trump administration is hunting mostly illegal residents in the United States of America, those who are not law-abiding. If you're law-abiding, there is no cause for alarm. But that notwithstanding, again, we'll go into every part of this discussion step by step to actually see if there is any reason why you have to fear. So, during the town hall meeting yesterday with the president, the Truth and Reconciliation Committee presented their report, an investigation. Well, was it an investigation? I would say an inquiry that was made across the board with all stakeholders involved the crisis that was plaguing the government of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia towards the end of last year. This report, many of you would have read it, but we're going to come to probably give some more explanation because you are waiting on this platform to make sure that you can get details of what is happening. Back to the Nsahlais, which is where I'm going to take a break or a transition and then come with Barrister Mbeseha for us to commence the conversation. We have daughter of Nsahlais, that's Rosemary. I understand that their mother is Bulu. She trying to dupe the United States of America close to 2.5 million US dollars. She took advantage of the PPP loan that the government of America, because of COVID, provided. She fraudulently mounted documents. So according to reports, according to the court records and evidence presented at trial more than a year ago, Rosemary Nsahlais, 47 years old, and her husband fraudulently obtained 2 paycheck protection program loans. Fraudulently obtained 2 paycheck protection program loans. The PP was a program instituted by the U.S. Congress to help businesses affected by the coronavirus pandemic continue to pay salaries or wages to their employees. Nsahlais carried out the scheme in connection with 2 of her husband's businesses by creating fraudulent payroll documentation for each business and then submitting that documentation in support of the PP loan applications. The fraudulent documentation represented that her husband's businesses had dozens of employees with over 17 million of annual payroll in 2019, when in fact they had few, if any, employees. So like father, like son, like daughter. And who is Christopher Nsahlais? Maybe I should give you a brief. Christopher Nsahlais worked under President Biafra, I think somewhere around in the 70s, when he was prime minister, into the time he became the president of La République du Cameroon. Nsahlais has always served the interest of his colonial masters. They gave to him a Bulu woman, and that's how he gave birth to Emmanuel Nsahlais and Mary Nsahlais. So it was a combination of a vicious person who has never represented the values of his people, getting married to a Bulu who has now become something else. You know, the Bible, you understand why certain families don't want to marry. I'm not saying every Bulu is like that, but we understand who the Bulu is and what their culture. So Nsahlais Emmanuel is actually serving the interest, is actually representing the legacy that his father left. His father extorted a lot of money from the colonial administration a couple of times. At one time, because their home is at Mvoli, around Mvoli, Simeon, in Yaoundé. Several loans, and died with a lot of debts, hoping that the government of Cameroon will pay some of his fraudulent activity. I'm talking about Christophe Nsahlais. He would go to connive to try to convince his people in Jackery. He's a man from Jackery, to vote. At one time, the people of Jackery almost beat Christophe Nsahlais to death because of the failed promises. He came in with a lot of money to bribe. So these are some of the things that we intend to inform the United States government about the character of this so-called Emmanuel Nsahlais. We've watched him on Cameroon propaganda machinery, or I would call it the Cameroon propaganda channel, CRTV, actually lying of his activity in America. It's important for those who are watching us all across the Cameroon, East, West, and Central Africa to know that this guy, Nsahlais, you'll be seeing his image in a bit. Nsahlais is a failed lawyer in America. If you read his record in America, he doesn't have a profile of any lawyer. The case he had against Chris Arnold was a failed. Fortunately, at the time, the government intervened proactively and the case was kicked out of court. He later on filed a case against Tapang Ibon Tanku, and Tanku won him in court. Right now, he is lying to the Cameroonian government to get himself ready and align himself to take some bribery by claiming that his efforts are gaining traction. He has been despised by the U.S. State Department, despised by the U.S. Congress. He has never been entertained. But we have seen the leaders of the Southern Cameroons continually create a diplomatic relationship with the United States government, invited by the Congress to present our case. We've had the clear intervention of especially the Trump administration dictating that the government of BIA should join us at the negotiation table. Donald Trump recognizing the illegal activity of this same government that Emmanuel Nsahlais, the failed lawyer in America, is trying to defend, revoked or kicked out Cameroon from AGOA. It is very important that we bring this to attention. Now, he has sent out a letter, in part, in some of the claims is asking the United States government to revoke documents, green card, citizenship, and asylum for some Ambazonian leaders. The intention is to have them deported. There are some who are predicting that this is a scheme by Cameroon to have leaders sent so that they can be tortured. Is the United States of America a banana republic? Would they act like Nigeria? There are no chances based with the data we've collected and facts available that the United States of America will intend to make such a blunder, a ridicule in the face of international law and human rights. So, but Nsahlais as a lawyer, is he ignorant of this? What are his objectives? Nsahlais is trying, like his father, to swindle some funds from Yaoundé. He is aware that if that letter is published, Yaoundé, a desperate Yaoundé, who seeks to stay their hegemony, the desperate Franco-Cameroon, the Bulu Beti Esingam, who seek to stay their hegemony in Southern Cameroon, will be excited and probably will give him some monies that have been stolen from the southern Cameroons and taxpayers' money to be gallivanting and living his life. How come Cameroon is not aware that all the efforts on Nsahlai Emmanuel is a waste of time? But how should the government of the people of Ambazonia react to this is part of the questions we are going to be answering this evening. What is the government doing in counter? Should the government of Ambazonia continually wait to defend even when illegals like Emmanuel Nsahlai confront us? These are some of the things that I expect at least Barrister Mbeseha was successfully connected to answer us this evening. We will be back to commence the conversation just after the break. Stay tuned.
Stand with Ambazonia. Empower ABC Amba TV. We are calling on Ambazonians around the world to unite and uplift ABC Amba TV, Ambazonian Broadcasting Corporation. In this critical time of war, ensuring the station's survival is more important than ever. But what does ABC Amba TV truly represent for Ambazonia?
At the heart of Ambazonia's war of independence, ABC Amba TV stands as a beacon. Years of recolonization, annexation, and French Cameroon's oppressive occupation of the southern Cameroon's Ambazonia have led to our exclusion. Our identity was hidden, our history distorted, our sovereignty denied. Queen of England is aware that the British Southern Cameroons were never a colony under France.
Since its inception in 2018, ABC Amba TV has been our lifeline.
Months of diplomacy have failed to resolve the crisis as fear grows over an imminent Russian invasion of Ukraine.
Our work in the dark is our chance to tell our stories to the world, to give voice to the voiceless and broadcast the truth of our struggle.
We are serious about executing this revolution.
It has become a vital arm of our government in wartime, making diplomacy achievable and showcasing our untold stories.
ABC Amba, you guys know how important ABC is for this, our quest for international recognition.
Your donations can make a world of difference. Every bit of support helps keep our stories alive, our presence known, and our fight in the global conversation.
The moment they notice that we are no longer on air, they think that, oh, maybe La Republic has succeeded. This is about Ambazonia. One thing we must always remember.
Where would we be without ABC Amba TV? Let's ensure we never have to find out.
A revolution is a temporary state of insanity to bring about sanity.
Mobilize, donate, stand with Ambazonia, donate to ABC Amba TV.
Together, let's write the next chapter of our history.
It is better to light the candle than to curse the dark.
Support ABC Amba TV campaign. Ambazonia Independence, voice for the voiceless. Mobilize for change.
Good evening and welcome, Barrister Mbeseha. Thank you for being patient. We're having serious challenges being able to connect Barrister Fru. I hope I can fix that once we start talking. And Commander Willy, it's strange. These are all individuals who have been connecting prior to this time, but it's just been impossible to get them on this evening. You're welcome. I'm sure there's a lot for you to talk. Maybe you want to greet the people this Saturday.
Well, thank you for having me, and thank our viewers for seeing me perhaps for the first time in 2025. I've been absent for a while because I needed a break. But now that I'm back, and we're back with a multiplicity of problems, with the new administration in the United States, and new people coming up with different dimensions of this struggle. We can only hope, and I in particular, that my contribution will make some sense that my contributions will be to clarify a number of issues. And so thank you for having me. Thank listeners for listening to us. I hope again before, as I said before, one will learn something from what I say. I focus most often on facts, not imagination, not my opinion. Thank you again for having me, and over to you.
Yeah. By Mbeseha, before I ask you any question, I want you to elaborately process the Nsahlais letter that he published. I would say it's a public letter, or is it a case fight, or is it a petition? I don't know how to tack it. Is it a memo? What is he trying to do? Is he trying to, if Ambazonians are committing crimes, can he file a lawsuit in America? There's so much confusion, lack of strategy, scheming, so much about the letter. But I just think I like you to process it as lengthily as possible so that Ambazonians can understand from your perspective. Those who are not law savvy can understand what is in that letter, what are the implications, what is the government measure. We'll get into that after you would have examined the letter closely. Please talk to us.
Well, I think if we start by analyzing his letter, probably most people will not understand where we're going to. So I'd rather start by analyzing legally who Nsahlais Emmanuel is.
Okay.
What legally he can do and what legally he cannot do in the United States. Once you have that background, you understand when we start to explain the letter, whether the letter is important or not. And so that is the approach I want to use. I don't care whether Nsahlais himself, his father, his mother, wherever they came from is irrelevant. We're dealing with Nsahlais Emmanuel, who is acting straight away from the United States, acting from a certain law firm called Nsahlais law firm. That's what concerns us. And so we're addressing him from that angle. But I will not forget to mention that Nsahlais Christopher, his father, I knew him, I met him at least once or twice. So I knew him personally. I met him in 1984 when he was the ambassador of Cameroon to Bangui. And we discussed the attempted coup, the failed coup, and we argued a lot of things. But that's not the issue here. The issue here is, who is Nsahlais? Nsahlais Emmanuel is said to be a lawyer based in California. He is supposed to be, I say supposed to be, a legal immigrant in the United States. Being a legal immigrant, you can be, it's possible he's a naturalized citizen, it's possible he's a green card holder, it's possible he is just having a different status, but he's legally in the United States. He has set up his law firm in California. A law firm is an entity recognized by American law. So his law firm is legal as long as it is in the United States. Based in any state, it is legal. And so if it is United States, one would think that he should understand the legal standing of himself, the legal implications of what he does. First, with the American law. Because for you to do anything, you must be acting within the premises of an American law, of the American legal system. That's where you take off. You might want to work for Japan, or work for Cameroon, whatever thing. You have to comply with the American legal system, the American laws. Has Nsahlais complied with all these things? I doubt. If Nsahlais is a naturalized citizen of the United States, he is prima facie not an American, not a Cameroonian citizen, because officially and legally, Cameroon does not recognize dual nationality. So if he has taken American citizenship, he has lost his Cameroonian citizenship. That said, I think on my little bit of research, I found that Nsahlais has also set up an law institute, a law firm in Chambers in Cameroon, maybe somewhere in Bamenda or somewhere. But it's called also Nsahlais Law Chambers. That by itself is illegal because the law in Cameroon on legal practice allows foreign lawyers to come in. If he's a foreign lawyer in California, he is one. You don't come here and set up a law office in Cameroon. No. You choose to operate from an existing law firm. You must operate within the law of Cameroon, which is an existing law firm in Cameroon. You cannot go there and set it up your own from London, from Japan, from America. No, that will be illegal. And so that is the initial look at it. We'll go further to say, Nsahlais, what is Nsahlais and what does he try to do? He says he's a lawyer. I don't have anything to dispute with that. But based on what we know on this Southern Cameroon Ambazonian issue, Nsahlais has done at least 3 things. Nsahlais has been involved in attempt to extradite people he thinks were offending Cameroon government to Cameroon. He's involved in extradition. 2, Nsahlais is involved in deportation, seeking to deport people he thinks are not supposed to be here to Cameroon. Nsahlais is involved in legal actions against Ambazonians in the United States for the benefit of Cameroon government, essentially. Those are the 3 things that he has been actively involved in. Let me try to analyze to see whether he's even doing the right thing according to the law of the United States. Let us take extradition. What is extradition? Extradition is seeking to repatriate a criminal already, who is indicted by a foreign government and who finds himself in the United States. If you're in the United States and your home government or foreign government seeks to indict you, they are free to. But they will not be able to extradite you unless the act for which the Cameroon government is trying to extradite you is a criminal offense in the United States. So the law of the foreign country seeking to extradite you must be the same law or similar law in the United States. If, for example, they were seeking to indict you for taking another wife when you have a polygamous marriage at home. You know, polygamy goes to several wives. American government legal system does not recognize polygamy. And so we've indicted this man because he married 2 wives and then he married a 3rd without their permission. That's nonsense. They will never attempt to extradite you because that law does not exist. Similar law does not exist in the books of the United States. It doesn't exist in the legal system. And so they cannot indict you. They cannot try to extradite you. And when it comes to extradition, which Nsahlais has been involved in, what is extradition? Who does it? Extradition is government to government. Government to government. And in the United States, it involves the legal department. Extradition is not mortgaged to private lawyers. We don't have any evidence to show that Mr. Nsahlais and his law firm are part of the Department of Justice of the United States. They are private lawyers, like all private lawyers in the United States. Unless the State Department or the Justice Department, DOJ, appoints you, seeks your help, you in your private capacity as a lawyer, you cannot seek to do deportation. No, sorry, to do extradition. That's not within their competence. And so, Mr. Nsahlais trying to do what he does all the time. I've seen him running to Norway to go seek extradition for Chuayaba to be extradited to Cameroon. It's just illegal. He doesn't know what he's doing if he ever does that. Because it's not a government. Again, in many instances, even in the case of Chuayaba, the Cameroon government has not indicted Chuayaba anywhere. There's no official indictment hanging over the head of Chuayaba that he committed this crime, There's no. So you cannot extradite somebody without an indictment hanging over his head. So Nsahlais should know this. And if it is hanging over his head, is the government of Cameroon, through their foreign ministry, to seek extradition because more goes into it. What crime is he going to be punished? And to know the crime that the guy will be punished if extradited, he must have a charge hanging over his head. We're extraditing him, we're seeking extradition because he killed somebody. That's murder. What's the maximum penalty he could suffer? If the maximum penalty is death, for example, they will not extradite you because the American system does not permit you to be extradited to any country where you will face the death penalty. And so without an indictment first on anybody called Ambazonian in Cameroon, not noise making over CRTV, not noise making over by politicians. Oh, they are separatists. They are what they call separatists, or what they call rebels. There are things that are legally permissible in the United States. We've heard people in the United States talk about Texas seceding. That's separation. We've even heard Trump trying to go and capture all the territories around. So he cannot do deportation. He cannot do extradition. It's totally out of his competence. So legally he cannot do it. It's wasting his time. But let us come now to the second aspect of what Nsahlais has been trying to do, which goes to his letter. He's seeking deportation. Deportation is exclusively the job of the Justice Department, not private lawyers. Not private lawyers. If it is private lawyers, he might be want to point where I'm living. I think I've committed a crime. You're a whistleblower. You're trying to help the Justice Department. But be sure that what you're saying is right. If you are saying the wrong thing, you can be liable for defamation. For defamation. Is it possible? Is it right for another immigrant legally in the United States to help deport another immigrant? That is not right. It's moral bankruptcy. It's not legally even possible. You cannot seek deportation, which is what he's trying to do. And if you understood what the Trump administration is trying to do, you would have understood that they're putting out there in clear language. In clear language. Undocumented migrants. Undocumented. They didn't say illegal. They say undocumented immigrants. Who is a documented immigrant? Who is an undocumented immigrant? Is somebody who has no status at all. He has nothing. He's just in the winds. He has no paper to cover him. If you are, for example, a naturalized citizen of the United States, you are documented. You are not undocumented. If you are a green card holder, you are documented. If you are an asylee officially in the country, you are documented. If you are a candidate whose asylum is in the courts or bill put for the hearing, you are documented, because when they list that you are hearing their case, they give you a paper. On this day, come to court. On this day, go to the immigration office. You are not undocumented. You are documented. And so, Nsahlais must not have understood this.
Mr. Mbeseha, let me come in there. I'm happy with the way you have taken this conversation. You've said a lot. Before we get into looking at the intricacies that has to do with those who are eligible for deportation, documented, undocumented, immigration crime, you said something. Nsahlais or the Cameroon government cannot even request for an extradition because they don't have a case even against Cho Lucas Ayaba. And Nsahlais is actually trading on probably negative waters, things that are not within his jurisdiction, if I am understanding you very clearly. But we have seen the Cameroonian government, with the help of France, get into Nigeria with a military plane, pick up refugees who were leaders of the movement, took them to Cameroon illegally. I don't want to say extradition because there was no extradition treaty. that happened in Nigeria. So Cameroon is breaking protocols, defiling international laws, and getting their ways. Perhaps Nsahlais is falsely telling them that he can pull out something. And this is my concern. Cameroon has achieved. 6 years ago, Cameroon succeeded to take 10 leaders of the Ambazonian movement from Nigeria. These were people under the custody of the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees in Nigeria. You were among those talking to the UNHCR on and before and during their kidnapped into Nigeria. Cameroon has succeeded. So we cannot just be looking at it from a surface level. What is the stunt that Nsahlais is trying to pull? What is he hoping to achieve? Let's look at it from the two sides. From the side of Cameroon propaganda, because the languages he's using there is what the Cameroonian proxy media and the media is using every day now and then. What is he trying to achieve? I know you're saying he can't achieve anything. We said that, and we had our leaders in Nigeria deported or illegally deported into Cameroon. So let us not rush it. It's going to be a long day with us. We want our people to really understand what is happening and to know what the government can do. But what do you think could be Nsahlai's calculation in this regard?
Nsahlais has, to the best of my knowledge, only one calculation. And that calculation is this: how much money can I make out of this deal? Nsahlais is not trying to enforce any law. Nsahlais is trying to make a fortune. He's trying to harvest where he did not sow. And as you rightly said, you see, we have never called what happened to the Naira 10 a deportation. We have never called it an extradition. We call it an adoption. It was pure adoption, which is law of the jungle. And to the best of my knowledge, all international tribunals that have looked at the Naira 10 have all declared that what happened to the Naira 10 was illegal, manifestly illegal. A few weeks ago, I got a call from one of the Naira 10, a few of them in Yaoundé. The International Tribunal had ruled that they should be returned, they should be compensated for. More than a year ago, Yaoundé did not act on it. And so they were seeking to report back that Yaoundé has not acted on the instructions, on the ruling of the International Tribunal. And so they got to me. And I wrote back to the tribunal, look, this ruling that you gave in favor of the Naira 10 has never been respected. They have not even acted on it. They have not yet reached out. They have not reached back to me. But the bottom line is this. You see, the international community is built on the presumption that they are dealing with civilized people, people who respect the law. The international community does not have a world police to go around and catch governments. They have pressure to put on you. When you sign up with international conventions, the United Nations, and so on and so forth. The United Nations is not a body that catches people and brings them to join. But when you sign up to the Charter, it means you respect the Charter. It's a voluntary will of civilized nations. And so they are not civilized. What they have been doing is not because they are right. They have always done that. And in most cases, in some cases, I don't say most, they have to suffer several years after by paying the penalty. They paid Apanga for sentencing him illegally in Yaoundé. They paid Gojininka. They paid they paid all of these people. It takes years, but they pay because they are doing the wrong thing. So Nsahlai's goal is to make money. It's not to do any justice. No. He has a blank check from Yaoundé. As long as he's doing this for them, they will pay him. They themselves know, because they also have lawyers. They have experts in law. They know that they are doing the wrong thing. Their goal is to put pressure on you and me, even if it means taking a World Bank loan to pay Nsahlais if Nsahlais is the face of the pressure they are putting. They know, for example, that you cannot extradite Choayaba. Choayaba might be sentenced to life jail, whatever length of time, in Norway, because he's not charged for committing laws in Cameroon, he's charged for violating Norwegian law. And so, if you and me are here, I will violate American law. America has the right to charge us, send us to jail based on the American law. Cameroon will not come and say, well, you have caught your criminal there for breaking into Bank of America. Send him to us because we think that he also stole some money from Cameroon Bank. That's not legally allowed. So, Nsahlais is trying to make fast cash. He knows that himself very, very well. So that's his goal. That's his goal. Again, the fact that they took the Naira 10 are just a small significant number. They've gone there and taken so many refugees, captured them and brought them back home, killed some of them. The fact that they do it so often does not make it legal. They are still doing illegal things. But again, the international community doesn't have a world police. They come together in the world community on the simple understanding that civilized people respect commonly agreed rules. But how do we benefit from it? If, for example, we're going to the United States Congress or somebody civilized in Japan, in England, we can show this evidence of their lawlessness in the face of the international community in the first place. And then whoever is listening to us will be able to imagine the death of the lawless that they exercise against you as an individual. So they are not doing the right thing. The fact that they do it often does not make it right. They are lawless people. They are still criminals. So I wonder if that answers them.
Pastor Mbeseha, if I understand you very well, it's a two-way traffic for Cameroon and their friends and their proxies and their criminals like Nsahlais. While on the other hand, Nsahlais is acting like his father and his sister to extort money from the Cameroon government. The Cameroon government is hoping that through the endeavors of Nsahlais, some leaders who are not sound, because I understand some activists and leaders who are not as legally sound like you, like the government, like President Sako, and are not intimidated, will not shy away. Because I want to look at it from the achievements of Nsahlais. Nsahlais, to say the truth, I do reporting every day, has psychologically affected a lot of people involved. You have a lot of Ambazonians right now technically shying away of taking responsibility, either legal responsibility that can help to push the cause forward. And so the letter of Nsahlais is a major concern. So while the Cameroonian government knows that in any jurisdiction, civilized jurisdiction, like you would have explained, they cannot make any achievement, but they think they can affect and shy away those who are fighting. That's their thought. And Nsahlais is increasing his wealth. As a failed lawyer in California, he has to rely back home to the legacy that his father left. It's unfortunate today we will not be having Barrister Fru and Commander Willie on camera, but I have them connected with their audios, and they are willing to participate. Barrister Fru, you have been following this conversation. We have to move forward to get into the implications on everything that you would have written line by line in that letter. But even before we do that, the people of Ambazonia are looking forward to hear your opinion on this issue and the Nsahlais fraud. Talk to us, please.
Thank you, Paddy. Thank you, everybody. I'm sorry I could not join because of connection problems. Are you getting me?
Very loud and clear, please.
Yes, I could not join because of connection problems. But I have this to say. It is time for us to clip the Nsahlais wings. Nsahlais is an accomplice to the atrocities that are being committed in the southern Cameroon. Because since these atrocities, since La Republic of Cameroon started committing these atrocities, Nsahlais has been on the other end trying to taking money from La Republic of Cameroon to intimidate our people here in the diaspora. the only solution that I think we have, well, it's not the only solution.
Before we get into solution, we'll definitely be getting into that. I'd like you to talk a little bit more.
I'm talking about Nsahlai. Would you allow me to finish, please?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. That before you get into what we need to do to Nsahlai, I want you to tell us your perspective generally on what he is doing.
He is an accomplice to the atrocities in the southern Cameroons. And secondly, the La Republic is using him to intimidate our people in the diaspora.
Yeah, okay.
Everybody knows that even though he has not succeeded to do anything to anybody, psychologically people are afraid now. Everybody is afraid that if he talks about Ambazonia, Nsahlai will report him to the FBI. We are all here. We are not committing any crime in the United States. We are all American. Some of us are American citizens, some are not. But we are living under the laws of the United States. And to stop Nsahlai from intimidating us, we must come up with a solution right now, because I'm sick and tired of him filing lawsuits or reporting this and that or this and that. But I also want to say that what his last letter has instead helped us, help our people who might have been under the removal list. They should now, like I listened to an immigration lawyer, all Cameroonians now who were here in 2023 can now file who have not filed for TPS should file right now, because no Cameroonian will be removed during this deportation procedure that is going on now, because of the fear that our people, if they deport anybody to Cameroon, they will first of all be intimidated, taken to jail, tortured, and imprisoned. And that is not the reason for deportation. The world knows that La Republic of Cameroon and the Southern Cameroon is at war. And that Southern Cameroon and La Republic of Cameroon are no longer together, because their bare being together is being contested by the Southern Cameroons. Therefore, if they want to deport people of Ambazonian origin, where would they report them? To the Southern Cameroon, not to La Republic of Cameroon. Therefore, the only solution now that we have in our hands, not the only, but the only civil solution, is to drag Nsahlai to court for defamation, and also to get a restraining order on him.
Barrister Fru, thank you for that. I'll bring you again to talk more on this strategy of the restraining order. And this has been the concern. I've always said it is important for Ambazonia to be more offensive, like Barrister Fru is proposing right now.
And another point, Paddy. Yeah. Another point is that Nsahlai will add Nsahlai on the list of people to be interrogated by the ICC, because he has been playing a major role in promoting the
genocide,
the atrocity crimes on the Southern Cameroon.
Yeah. So actions speaks louder than word. I thought that this conversation today was quite important. It's instrumental. I understand that the government is actively working on something right now. But Barrister Mbeseha, I'm coming back to you before getting to Commander Willie. You realize that Barrister Fru has fast forwarded this conversation. I was thinking that we're going to take it gradually. There's some allegations which can actually be considered defamation of character. You have names that have been indicted for simply doing the right thing, advocating for a cause that is recognized by the United States of America as a legal case. The United States of America has never, ever identified the people of the Southern Cameroons as terrorists or as illegals, but Nsahlai insinuates in his letter to the State Department and claiming that Cameroonian or Southern Cameroonian leaders would have committed fraud. And this is where I want you, Barrister Mbeseha, to come in so that Barrister Fru will reflect. He's going to be with us all through on this audio. This is what we have to speak about as we think of how to stop this. Should we just sit and always wait for him to keep doing what he's doing over and over again? He's attacking one person to another. He has failed all his life. But should we wait? Should we stop him now? And if we have to stop him, what are some of the things we can use to also stop? So Cameroon doesn't think they can just do anything, anyhow, anywhere against us. Barrister Mbeseha, please.
Well, Barrister Nsoh has said what I was going to say later, but let me deal with it. So if you look through that list, and that is so-called letter, I've looked at the lists. All the people I see on that list, because remember that we're at this stage now, we're at the deportation of illegal immigrants. That's the stage I wish the American government is. They are trying to deport people who are not legally bound to be here, the undocumented immigrants. And you look at that list, I've looked at the list. Almost everybody I see there is legally here. They are either green card holders, naturalized Americans, or asylum seekers. All those are legal people. And so when you put out that list and insinuate that the first impression is that they are illegals, which is wrong. That's a lie. They are legally, they are documented. The second impression you want to give is that they are criminals. It is wrong. They have committed no crimes. And so what do you call all this in general terms in law? You are defaming people. You're just defaming them, giving them a coloration that they are not. But because there are so many people there are even people there said to be manning these organizations registered in the US as NGOs. These NGOs pay taxes. They are legal in the United States. So as individuals or corporations, they are legally here. You are defaming them. All of them put together is a class of people who come from Ambazonia. And so we can bring a class action against Nsahlais in person and his law firm as a group for defamation. It's going to succeed. Because defamation, when you allege a crime, that someone has committed a crime, you don't need more than that. You don't need to show that you have suffered any damages. If I say you're a thief publicly, you don't need to go around to say people continue to call you a thief. No, I've called you a thief. Theft is a crime. So we can sue, and we should sue Nsahlais in person and his law firm as a body for defamation, and then restrain them from continuing with these actions of theirs by an injunction. This is doable. This should be done. So that is what it is. Because all those people listed there, I'm surprised to see the list. There are some people there who are not even in the United States. They're in Europe. All over the world, they put their names there. Calling them criminals when they are not criminals. And because they are spread all over the world, we can bring a class action lawsuit against him. Because while his allegations are unfounded, they have no meaning. They have no meaning at all. They cannot be deported for anything's sake, for the crime he's talking about. For you to be deported because you have committed a crime, you must have gone to serve your term. You have to serve your term. At the end of the serving of the term, it is the United States government that decides to deport you. So you don't just suspect that somebody is there and then ask him to be deported and then attach a crime to his name. Again, most of what Nsahlais says, we all know, the American system already knows. What are these people called asylum seekers who came here? What are they running from? They are running simply for lack of the ability to express themselves, freedom of expression, which is law in the United States. You are free to say what you like. You are even free to say that Texas will secede, California will secede. That is legal in the United States. These things are absent in the United States, in the Cameroon. You say it, they kill you, they take you to jail, they do something awful to you. So there's no way you can justify that before an American court. So I support what Brother Nsoh says. We should bring an action. In addition to that action, seeking unlimited damages as a class of people who also seek to restrain him. And our restraining order will work because he has attempted this before. The American courts know it. As you rightly said, he sued Anu, he sued Tapang Abo. He has brought action against other people called Ambazonians. Let us forget about their own records in the struggle. But this, he called them Ambazonians. And all these cases, he has lost them. So that is a good ground to show that this guy is manifestly doing criminal things. His intent is not to do justice to anybody. His intention is to harm you and benefit from the harm that he has done to you. So that should be done. That is doable. That's one of the best actions. Talking about including him among the co-conspirators in the ICC. We don't even need to find his name particularly. Once the investigations open as they open, they lead you to anywhere. They lead the investigators to anywhere. We can only encourage our people, if you are giving evidence, make sure you connect him there. Because when we report, and we've said this all the time, we'll file a complaint and put people's names. It is not, they might never indict all those people. Just like they might not only indict those people, they indict people you did not contemplate. They indict people you thought that you were going to hide them. And so that is the right thing to do. It's doable. It should be done. Over to you.
Amazing. Vice Fru, you have something to add there, please.
Yes, I thank my senior colleague for completing what I just said. What I want to say is we are going to sue Nsahlais in his personal name, and secondly, in the name of his chambers or his law firm, because his law firm is the one that has the thing that is being published is published on the letterhead of his law firm, and he will be answering for defamation because he has given those names to his law firm, and secondly, his law firm will answer to in the defamation case like the second defendant, because we need a deeper pocket to get some money out of Nsahlais. All the money has been taken from La Republic of Cameroon. We should be able to pay our people some of that money for defaming them, for publishing a serious article on social media and writing to the State Department and lying about our people. He will have to come and prove one allegation to the other. That is it. We cannot. I think we're tired of Nsahlais, and that is where that's how we need to proceed.
Amazing one day. Now, talking about, I know that the government of Ambazonia, that is just doing everything. Commander Willie, I'm coming to you, and I know I'm going to bring you at the right time because we're getting into something really important that is happening on the ground. And I will definitely bring you. But this is where I want us to stick. I'm talking to both of you, the lawyers now, and the politicians that you are, and members of this government. Like you said, a cross-section of supposed leaders of Ambazonia and the diaspora, those who have defected, those who have are now not even leaders no more, those who have disappeared, those who have gone silent, in this letter. But we have the government of Ambazonia under the leadership of President Sako not just talking, ready at this time to take action. I'm kind of privy of the fact that the government wants to take this action and you people are preparing it. I'm happy that you're telling the people of Ambazonia that enough is enough. I want to deviate a little bit, though I would like to still stay on the conversation. Do you think the government of Ambazonia doing this on behalf of every Ambazonian, the good, the bad, and the ugly, those who love the government and don't love the government, do you think this can be a force field that will help to attract some maybe, should I say, unity towards this government, trying to make some of the people in the diaspora that don't believe or want to respect this administration of President Sako to now put some of their acts together, will you people be needing their involvement in the effort to fight Nsahlai's evil in the United States of America? I want to begin with you, Barrister Mbeseha.
Well, we need their input. But again, I've mentioned something. We are bringing a class action lawsuit in the name of all those Ambazonians because they are a class of people. And let me give an example. I saw that list, for example. In that list, you find Mbakuru. We all know that Mbakuru came to this country, sought asylum. He was an asylee. Asylum was granted. He has been sitting there doing his work that he does, whether he's doing it for this government or for anybody. But he is an asylee. He's right to be in this country. Is it proper for somebody to defame him as a criminal, to urge him to be deported? No. No. But Mbakuru, he has nothing against Mbakuru as a person. He's against Mbakuru as an Ambazonian who is doing something, according to him, to harm his government back home. So those people, whether they are with us or not, they would fall into the same class. If somebody say, well, I'm not there, we're not putting your name there as names, as individual complainant, we are in the class. But if you choose to opt out, you are free to do that. And then this, just to add this, you see, defamation laws in the United States are very, very powerful. I'm sure if you follow the news, many of us will still have Giuliani, who was the mayor of New York, who was a great supporter of Trump just a few months back. And he defamed companies on the elections 4 years ago. Said the company, the machines that make voting machines were bad. They sued him and for defamation. Giuliani is gone bankrupt, even though Trump has won the next election. Giuliani has sold everything he had because he defamed those voting machine makers, lied that they had been made to cheat Trump. So defamation laws are very, very powerful in the United States, and they are very strict on that because they know that this communication on social media can be damaging. You say something about someone, you want to write something to correct it. That's not enough because not everybody who read your lie will go to read your correction. And so the laws of defamation are so strict in this country. Again, to your question, if we file a class action lawsuit, those people who don't want us, who don't want to be in the class, so be it. But we don't need their permission to file a class action lawsuit. We need the consent by will of the class of people who are being defamed by Nsahlai. We may call it one of them, two of them to ask them. But even if we were to call, if it goes to court, if the thing proceeds to trial, how many witnesses will try here? 500 Ambazonians? 300 Ambazonians? 4 or 5 at best. So we don't need their permission, and I think they will be happy to be part of that lawsuit because they too feel hurt. As much as they hate President Sako, as much as they hate me, they feel hurt when Nsahlai does what he's doing to them. Over to you.
This is what we call leadership. Barrister Fru, please.
Yes, Paddy, you know that we are registered here as a government in exile. We are registered.
Yeah.
We are a legal body here, and we represent all Ambazonians.
Yeah.
It is for the APC, for those who don't want to join the class action lawsuit. But everybody that is on that list will be concerned. You don't want your name to be mentioned there because you hate the Ambazonian government. You can opt out if you so desire. But the lawsuit is a class action lawsuit brought by the government of Ambazonia on behalf of its people that have been defamed by La Republic of Cameroon and its council. That's it.
You see, where I'm impressed is the fact that the government is demonstrating a very high sense of leadership during this time. And this, by default, counters the propaganda that Cameroon uses at all times to insinuate that we are not making progress because we are divided. When we want to get into any serious discussion, Cameroon comes in with a divide and conquer. The time has come when the government has opted that in spite of who you are as a Southern Cameroonian, you are protected by this government. And Nsahlai's fully, I would say, fraudulent activity has given the opportunity for the federal government to take very precise action. This is quite delightful. Commander Willie, you have a lot to talk about today. There's some reports that Undaunted will be providing to us now that you're going to be talking about today. But just before we move and transition to examine the TPS, to look at the government strategy and some things they're going to be doing, this is one of the things that the government is doing early 2025, taking proactive action against a Cameroon proxy in the diaspora, creating nuisance. So, Commander Willie, if you can hear me, you may want to chip in very briefly before we move into the newsroom to take some reports and then to come out to find out what is happening with the TPS. Please talk to us.
Yeah, when I hear me.
Yeah, very loud and clear, please.
Yeah, shake no day. We thank everybody for home front and everybody will join us. Any person will talk anything for shake anybody from Ambazonia. We don't pass on level for fear. We don't fear again nothing. We don't fear whether you put anything for our front. They say we're going to hire anything for Paco much less than Sam. And so good the barrister they don't really talk, they know the law more than me. When it comes to America, me I'm not a stranger for America myself. When it comes to American legal system, me I'm not a stranger for American legal system myself. I don't handle situation in American legal system. But chain of custody material, the way they bring it for us, for forensic department as such, as they bring to the forensic, with the handle them. If I go to Tarh Paddy, if I go to American government, so you don't take my one apple, they're not going to investigate you first. So they will start investigating and work out report them first. So when Mr. Nsahlais go to talk any kind of thing, they will first investigate it first. They will find out how many how many Republic agents they can bring, how many Republic people they can bring in America can file for the asylum, where they get for asylum, with no deal of any threat. All those Bamiliki they don't can bring them, those Bulu Pikin they don't can bring them, we don't file for the asylum. American government will find out say if they say don't file false paper. For America if you file false paper, na crime already. But you see all the ambassadors for Yemen refugees, all of them when they file for asylum, it be authentic. Because America don't go for ground, those can say yes, not true. Ambassador don't be invaded by French Cameroon. So what I'm saying, Nsahlais, if file document all, it don't mean anything. They know they come here, they can't start catching Ambazonian people. They know what to do. They will find out for Nsahlais law firm. They find out who is Nsahlais law firm. What do they do? Now, how many bullets do they don't file for the asylum when they don't get for they don't get for gap? Then they will go revoke all that and then they will revoke a license. Say they file false thing them. If they carry from phone, they can't file them before you give them papers, of which they are not there for any threat. So when they come to that side, the lawyers know better than me. When you file any situation in America when are false, for under their paper, then for small line, they will say 10 years imprisonment or felony or misdemeanors. I don't know if barrister put they know that in the mean under that small. They under the paper where you sign, you say sign, say the 2 file and it be right, and if you go wrong, you will get 10 years jail or 50,000 fine. They write on small fingerprint for all American documents. So it's no better than me. You may be lawyer. If they push all the go the file, the gap. If you say get any property for instead of Ambazonia, then it will be eager for you to locate them for your own day too. You will be part of us. So the one they for ground where they fight for their freedom. I see the tribe will cut the tree for up, the roof for ground to be relocated for the safer zone. Me, I don't know about it, and I don't get for no. When I define law, who define our no? When I define who they define our law, me, I don't feel talk me plenty, but that's why when it comes to things that concern the government, but it's fully know the right way for user. But anyone waiting for America, make no fear, say, because Nsahlais go report it for they will can't catch you, say, nah lie. They know that is not going to, it's just for formality, just forget money for Cameroon coming for job. They get money for job. And again, secondly, now a profession, if a lawyer, he get right to file any document to file. If he file a document against Donald Trump for America, they will take up. But now they will listen to you. They will investigate you first. They find that document. Investigate your firm. Whether you get accurate papers. Investigate the case if you don't file. Whether they be authentic. Investigate the things you don't do. Whether it be genuine. Then now they start investigating the other person you don't do it now. And then go show proof. Advance proof that they say whether not information. All those things all the nothing for do. They will come up on that level.
That's amazing.
I want to common man, common woman from Ambazonia say support the revolution. If you did for TPS, they don't give you free job. Take that money, contribute to the LG account. It's fine, get your own country. All that is there now.
Amazing.
Over to you, sir.
So Ambazonians that you're listening to us.
Paddy, let me say something.
Yes, please.
Something that,
go ahead, please.
Commandant Willie has just raised.
Yes, go ahead.
As a lawyer, you defend anybody. You have a right to your clients and so on. When your clients are committed an offense, and you know that your clients are committing an offense, and you advise them on how to evade that offense, on how to hide that offense, and and how to attack the victims of that offense.
Yeah.
You are no longer doing the practice of law. Because the practice of law, you are there to defend your client. If there's a matter in court, if there's no matter in court, if it is an advice,
yeah,
and you give an advice that tends to support criminal activity, you are an accomplice to that crime.
Actually, this guy has taken the matter too personal, Barrister Fru. I agree with you.
Yes.
It's like you can actually see he has a legacy his father left. He has just gone bananas.
Yes, that's why I'm saying that Nsahlais is an accomplice to the atrocity crimes that are being committed in the southern Cameroon, and now in his own participation is to harass the very population that has been displaced, and they are living in exile in the United States and other countries. And he goes and he's taken the mandate from people who are committing those atrocity crimes to come and harass the relatives and friends and the population from where they are running from. And he is part of crimes against humanity. And that's why I say we have a right to sue him here civilly, but the ICC will also pursue him.
Amazing. Okay, we're moving into the newsroom. Please, the both of you should come by.
Paddy, excuse me. Paddy, excuse me.
Yeah, go ahead.
Before we move, say Nsahlais is too important for us to leave anything unturned. There's a second aspect that we have not dealt with, which is absolutely important. Nsahlais, as an individual, is an American resident, perhaps a naturalized citizen. His law firm is based in the United States. He's working for Cameroon government. I'm not sure that he has complied with American laws, whether he has complied with the FARA Act of 1938 as amended in 1966. That act obliges anybody, an individual or an entity, working for a foreign government to first of all register with the Department of Justice and explain what type of work they are doing. So Nsahlais, as a matter of principle, must legally go and register in the State Department that he is working for a foreign country. So they call the act the Foreign Act. If he's not working, if he's not registered, he's guilty of some offenses. They can send him to jail, or he can be subjected to heavy penalties.
Correct.
That law, as amended in 1968, makes an exemption of lawyers acting for foreign governments. But that exemption does not hold when you are spewing out lies, when you are defaming people. But what is working for a foreign government? A foreign government cannot come here to implement or to enforce foreign law. So if you are a separatist, outlawed by Cameroon law, Nsahlais cannot come here and extradite you for breaking Cameroon law on separatism, for breaking Cameroon 2014 law. That says he should be sent to jail or sent to a military tribunal. So Nsahlais must register first and foremost with the FARA, Foreign Agents Registration Act, to be qualified to do what he's doing. I'm sure he has not done that. And so we should be able to take steps to inform the Department of Justice or the FBI that this guy might be doing these things illegally according to American law. It is so manifestly illegal because of the defamation on the face of it, on the face of his complaint. It is defamatory to say Paddy, who is a legal resident in the United States, is an illegal immigrant. It is defamatory for him to call me a naturalized American citizen, a criminal, for postulating to help people somewhere else, not necessarily in Ambazonia. If I help people in Israel, for anything's sake, if we help people in Japan, or anywhere where there's disaster, we become criminals. Nsahlais should know that he has touched the wrong places. Because as American citizens, we have the right to expand our largesse, and we've expanded same to Israel, to Gaza, to Afghanistan, to anywhere in the world. And so we're doing same to Ambazonians, refugees, and internally displaced. Does that make us criminals to warrant deportation? Certainly on the face of it, no. He knows that, having come from that area, he knows what is going on. And then calling me a criminal or you a criminal, or any other person. Mbakuru, for example, for running away from danger, he calls him a criminal, which he knows that is wrong in him. He knows him very well. Can that be, it cannot be something honest. No. It is willful distortion of facts. And willful distortion of facts, especially by lawyers, is a crime that can earn him his law license.
Okay. Nsahlais don't much stay for Mboma.
And not, but let me add.
Please.
And not only, Barrister, thank you very much. If he tries to cure that anomaly from hearing from what we're saying on ABC, it will only take effect from the day that he has cured it. His past activities will be in violation of that act.
Yeah. Which any attempt to change his current stance only makes him a criminal.
Yeah, what we are saying now, run and go and try to register under the Foreign Agents Act. If he does that, it will only be from the day of this broadcast.
The truth about it is that any activity right now that he is trying to get himself with only makes him a better criminal.
And
even if you go to register now, that does not make it illegal act. Because you're working if you're working for a foreign government.
Who is 7 years in prison for fraud?
What I was trying to say is, if you're working for a foreign government, even if you're registered, you're duty bound to give the facts as they are, to tell the truth.
Yeah.
If you don't tell the truth, you are liable for your untruth. You are liable for a defamation. These lists are there. So the law has been, whatever that list is, where it was called in 2019, 2018, 2014, the allegations that are made inside there are basically false. They are basically false. Because none of them, including me and you, who sought asylum here and became naturalized, none of us committed any crime in Cameroon. We're not indicted for anything. The simply grant to safety. So calling you a separatist and a criminal for whatever act occurred in 2016, even in 1961, even in 1972, by Dinka or anybody, is just wrong. They committed no crime.
Mbeseha, as we move forward, we're going to come back to the discussion when we're talking about TPS. But as we move forward, it's important for us to highlight that the entire family of the Nsahlais has been involved with fraudulent activity everywhere. Yes, so you had Nsahlais began, the father was involved with fraudulent activity. The sister was indicted slightly over a year ago for doing the PPP fraud.
She's in prison, actually, as we speak.
She tried to swindle close to $2.5 million US after fabricating fraudulent documents. And so this is quite outrageous and something very important for us to talk about. So we're moving forward now. We'll get back into some aspects of this story as we move into the newsroom. Onye, can you hear me?
Mr. Tarh, can
yes,
you hear
please.
me?
I would like the studio to make sure that your sound is there. Can you hear me now?
All right, so good evening, Barrister Mbeseha. We've been together all week and you're here tonight. Nice to have you. And of course, the other commentators at the background. Let's start tonight with the story of the Fons, the traditional rulers. During the week, we gave a brief review about these going for the meeting. But here is a full report. So in a recent declaration from 12 traditional rulers supporting colonial President Paul Biya for the 2025 election, well, it has caused a lot of controversy, especially regarding the Ambazonian territory. Claims by Colonial Minister Tangan Paul that key leaders from these areas backed the President Biya. Well, it has been disproved. Out of 13,000 traditional rulers in the Cameroons, well, those on record, this report says only about 200 reportedly attended the event in Yaoundé. And out of the 200, 12 signed their deal to support the president for the election, 2025 election. Of course, it's around the corner, so you can understand all of these gimmicks and, what have you. So it also says that a meeting in Yaoundé resulted in a declaration from 12 traditional rulers supporting the president, Paul Biya. The president with deep colonial roots and a tight grip on power for over 40 years and counting for the upcoming presidential election in October 2025. However, this endorsement has raised questions, particularly about its representation of the Ambazonian minority, which have faced long-standing war. So the meeting had about 200 traditional rulers from across the country, yet out of the 212 who signed the support deal, only 3 are from the British Southern Cameroons. Chief Tebe Tando Ndispo from Bachu Ntai in the Atlantic Zone, and Fon Shafa Isaac and Fon Sehim Mbiglo from the Savannah Zone. These are the 3 that signed from the Ambazonian region. So these same leaders have had to leave their homes due to the ongoing violence. So they don't understand. They're not feeling it. And that can explain why they even had to sign it. But yet they pledged their allegiance to Paul Biya, who is strangulating their own people back home. So on these, critics argue that 3 traditional rulers cannot truly represent the feelings of all chiefs and fons from the British Southern Cameroons. Serious allegations of colonial government's bribery have also surfaced, suggesting that these endorsements may have been brought through financial incentives to influence traditional leaders, a tactics which undermines the electoral process. We'll pause here and do a reminder. During the week, we also told you that some of these chiefs were given about 7 million francs CFA, so that says it all. Meanwhile, the endorsement has been met with skepticism, and the chiefs who endorsed the president Biya are facing backlash for having betrayed their communities for personal gain, and I will add here of 7 million francs CFA. Now, moving on to all of the other issues, let's start with the baby theft. Aside the week that we had terrible information about mothers, young mothers, aborting and throwing away their babies or leaving their babies somewhere. Now babies are being stolen. The senseless war has given a whole lot of room for so many vices. And there are new updates on the cases of baby theft, which happened in the Savannah Zone some weeks ago. Well, a 3-month-old baby was taken from her mother in Bambili. This baby has been found. The suspect, called Chocolate, is now in the custody of the Colonial Police. In Bambili, the Midland zone of Tubari Mazem, a 3-month-old baby was stolen from her mother. The person accused of this crime has been referred to as Chocolate, was arrested yesterday, January 30th, 2025, by the Colonial Police security theft in Old Town Bamenda after a detailed investigation. The culprit had first met the baby's mother in the hospital after the baby was born. They shared contact information and the Chocolate said she would visit again. Later, during another visit, she convinced the mother to go out briefly to buy drinks with money she had given her while the mother was away. This person took the chance to run off with the baby. When the mother noticed her baby was missing, she quickly reported to the Colonial Police. This led to an urgent investigation. After a month of searching, the Colonial Police found Chocolate hiding in Bafford with the baby. The investigation allegedly took another turn when colonial authorities detained this Chocolate's husband, who was already in custody for other suspected kidnappings. His arrest helped them gather information that led to the capture of this baby theft. Meanwhile, the culprit is now in custody and will face further investigation and legal action. The mother has been happily reunited with her baby. So many atrocities, kidnapping, husband and wife into theft. Very sad. But then, in all of this, Ambazonians are highly marginalized. And so the La Republic de Cameroon Colonial Ministry of Public Works has reviewed Ambazonians as highly neglected as road infrastructure is concerned, with the shortest paved road network in the Cameroons. There are no roads, and even the roads that are done are short. The rainy season is around the corner. Farmers are already complaining. Market women are already complaining. Data has shown and Public Works has revealed that the Midland Zone of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia has the smallest paved road network in the Cameroons. Now, according to data, it consists of 238 kilometers of national roads, 106 kilometers of regional roads, and 175 kilometers of municipal roads, which is a total of 501 kilometer road of paved roads for a land area of 17,300 square kilometers. And so, in breaking down these details, the Atlantic Zone fares similarly with a total area of 25,000 square kilometers and 647 kilometers of paved road, which is about 471 kilometers of national road, 33 kilometers of regional road, and 143 kilometers of the municipal road. While in contrast, that is the neighboring La Republic de Cameroon, in the west region of La Republic de Cameroon, which covers about 13,892 kilometers, it has a total of 1,080 kilometers of paved road, including 338 kilometers of national roads, 328 kilometers of regional roads, and 404 kilometers of municipal roads. The Colonial Center region boasts the most extensive paved road network, which spans about 2,273 kilometers with 1,231 kilometers of national roads, 447 kilometers of regional roads, and about 595 kilometers of municipal roads. The other region ranks with 1,102 kilometers of paved roads. So the Colonial East region, the largest in the country, with the area of 109,000 square kilometers, has a paved road network of 827 kilometers. Meanwhile, the Far North region has about 729 kilometers of paved road. The North, 802 kilometers. The other side of neighboring Nigeria, where Adamawa is, 803 kilometers, and the south, 1,687 kilometers. And so the figures in total, when you calculate this with me, it shows a calculated attempt by La Republic de Cameroon with its leader to cripple development in Ambazonia, given where a road passes development and it doesn't have anything to show for it. And all of these are not even done road. These are just basic access roads that the people have, yet they are undone. So regardless of the fact that the kilometers and the roads are short, the roads are not even as high depth as that of La République du Cameroon. It's not even done. It's not even motorable. It's not accessible. So when you talk about being marginalized, being taken as a second-class citizen, Ambazonians have felt every bit of this. And I'm sure that Mr. Tarh, Barrister Mbeseha, Barrister Fru, and all of the other analysts in the house would definitely have something special to say about all of this marginalization, all of the theft, the kidnappings, and of course the funds who all went ahead to sign just for their personal gains.
Amazing. That was an amazing coverage there. I think this is what we call news from the perspective of Ambazonia. And I like the statistics you've brought in here so that the world would have to know how grossly Ambazonia is being marginalized in this failed relationship. I like the fact that you took out time to investigate statistically how this marginalization is being actualized. But as a Manu girl that you are, you couldn't have been missing tabetando. That's where we begin. I know Barrister Mbeseha spent some time with this. But Barrister Mbeseha, this is where we begin the analysis this evening based on the reports that are coming from the ground. The chiefs again have got themselves ridiculed. And even for them acting as auxiliaries of the colonial administration, trying to betray their own people, doing things that would defy the sacred offices of the traditional rulers in Ambazonia. They are yet being marginalized. That means Cameroon is trying to use them against the Ambazonian movement. But even in that, they are still being marginalized by the colonial administration. Quite ridiculous. I'll begin with you, Barrister Mbeseha. Then we'll have Barrister Fru react to that. And before we move to Commander Willie to tell us how he feels to know that Tabetando and other chiefs on the ground, not only betraying, sometime early last year, the current phone of Anguafo actually plotted to have his own child who is defending the homeland swept out by the colonial administration. That was really unfortunate. But so much for us to say about this, Barrister Mbeseha. Let's take it chronologically. What do you think about this move, first of all, for the traditional rulers? And what lessons should they draw from the way Cameroon is going about treating them when it comes to putting all traditional rulers of the Cameroons together?
Well, I think we must understand what they are out to do. They are what we call traditional rulers and not traditional rulers. As per the 1977 law on classification of chiefs, they are government-appointed agents. They are appointed by the government and classified by the government as such. But let us move forward and find out. This meeting, which is supposed to have brought in traditional rulers, 300, 400, even 1,000, who convened the meeting? Who convened the meeting? Atanganji. Is he a chief? Is he a member of the executive of the Council of Chiefs? No. Who paid them? Atanganji. Who gave them sitting allowance and fed them in hotels? Atanganji. Is Atanganji a chief? No. He's barely a minister. So, as we said all the time, who will pay the piper dictates the tune. That's simple. We've always said you don't go to a meeting without knowing who is funding it. And who is funding it will determine the events of the meeting. We said so about Canada 1, Canada 2, and Canada 3. We've come back to the background of Cameroon. But just look at the participants in this so-called conference of chiefs. They leave the other regions, call them regions. And they look at the southwest, they call it, and the northwest. Just those two. And see those who were there and what they signed up to. Let me take what they call the southwest, to which I belong. Who are those who featured permanently there? You see Tabe Tando with his picture right there. Who is Tabe Tando? Tabe Tando is the chief of Bachuantai. He is in fact the product of E.T. Igwe. E.T. Igwe was the chief of Bachua Kagbe. Between the two Bachuas, they are less than 2 kilometers apart. If we know the DNA of E.T. Igwe, he was a lawyer. But he is one of the greatest people who betrayed Southern Cameroon for personal greed. And he propped up this man who sits here and calls himself Tabe Tando, the chief of Bachuantai. What does he gain from being there? Before going to, in fact, he's a senator. But how is he a senator? Was he ever elected even though there was no election? No, he was appointed by President Paul Biya. He's an appointed senator. That besides that, he lives in Douala. He has a small house or whatever company called Palace in Bachuantai. I've been to that place. And so, before going there, what was he doing? He profited all along from the timber exploitation benefits from Manu alone. To say the least, this man is a criminal. He's a thief. And then he goes out, he comes out and signs those documents in the name of so-called chiefs. Let us go down memory lane and see who are those other who are important there. You find Chief Mokete, somebody signing there, Chief Mokete, who succeeded his father. And he too was appointed by a senator. He's sitting right there. What do you expect of these guys? Zero. And then one of them who was so interesting to me is Benjamin Itoy. Benjamin Itoy signs that thing not even as the chief. He signs his name and put against his name in French, Chef Superior, and closes the bracket. This Benjamin Itoy is supposed to be a retired Chief Justice. He's supposed to have a license in law. He's chief of where? He's chief of Bombay. How many people live in Bombay? There are less than 50 people in Bombay. And he sits there with all the privileges that he has. And then, of course, you can name the rest. All of them are there. So what do you expect to get from these people? The same thing you find Chief, whoever is representing the front of Mancon, and the rest in the Northwest, we call them. They are birds of the same feather. If you expect to get any redemption from Tabe Tando as the chief, forget about it. If you expect to get anything from him as a senator, forget about it. For he is almost the second in command in this. How did he get there? Nobody. He succeeded Mosonge, who got promoted from the Senate to the Balangura Commission, where he had a budget to run. A big budget that had nothing to do with it. But at the end of the year, they decorated themselves for doing a good job. I told my friend, Dumfo, his mom refused the decoration. Harley, he said, no, what are we being decorated for? I said, what are you expecting from these people? Nothing. If they came to Atanganji's meeting, expect to see Atanganji's results. But after all that, just a few hours, 24 hours, 48 hours after that, you can watch what is happening around there to see what was the effect of it. There was one of them who went from Betua. He said, Lamido, who went to give account of his job and trying to say how the campaign for Pierre. They almost lynched him. The videos are there. One of them from the West, is it Bamanjum or somewhere in the West, in Bafusan, who returned home. He saw they burnt his palace and burnt all the cars that he brought from Yaoundé. So do these people represent anybody in terms of elections? Whether they endorse anybody or not? The endorsement is zero. Does Benjamin Itoy represent anybody in spite of his mighty size in law? Nothing. Can he even get a vote in Bombay, where he comes from and calls himself Chef Superior? He cannot even get a vote. And so that is what we take from them. Don't expect anything from these people. The whole idea of creating that thing in 1977 was an attempt to try to create something to do with the West Cameroon House of Chiefs, which they had abolished in 1992. In 1972, 2 years into that, they created that nonsense by decree. And so it has no meaning. The House of Chiefs that we know, that we had, was never something like that. What they have today doesn't represent the chiefs. It doesn't represent anybody, it represents by themselves. When they get paid, take your money, because if the budget is there, you don't take it, the people who are keeping the budget will still steal the money. But you cannot sell out anybody but yourself. And so that's what I have for them. They are chiefs to nobody. They are chiefs to their own compounds and their palaces. And then, again, from the action that we saw happening in Baitua, with Alamido, whoever he calls himself there, and somewhere in Banjul there in the west, where they burned down the whole palace of the chief. If we're going to do that, the people in the west will respect them for the traditions. They look like us in terms of chieftaincy. But if the wrath of the community can bring down the whole palace and the fleet of cars that the guy has, that is a good lesson. That is telling of what awaits them back home. Over to you.
That's amazing. I'm happy. Before I even move forward, I want people who are Tabetando is the mastermind of the Egbeko massacre. Tabetando has spent his time patronizing the services of colonial gendarmes to inflict pain on his own people, all just to serve the interest of Yaoundé. This is Tabetando ridiculing not just himself, but Bacho, Ntai. It's really an unfortunate thing. Barrister Fru, please.
Yes, Paddy. Let me get the statistics. There are only 3 Ambazonian chiefs who signed the so-called document from Atanganji to endorse Bia for elections in 2025. And the 3 are, one is from the southern zone, who's Tabetando, and 2 from the north. And among the 2 from the northern zone, there's Fonchafa, who is a magistrate. And then one other or recognizable, what I had to call chief. What is the characteristic of all these people? They have all abdicated their thrones and they are sitting in Yaoundé. None of them that is in the village, in his various village, has traveled to go and sign that document and come back, except those from the Western province and in fact from Francophone zones. Those from Ambazonia, nobody has traveled to go and sign a so-called document. They are those who had abdicated and they are living in Yaoundé. Out of the lot of them living in Yaoundé, only 3 of them signed that document. What is the message? The document is not worth the salt. Because Atanganji can put out, I think, is it more than 200 chiefs, 200 traditional rulers? And only 12 signed the document. 3 from Ambazonia. And I tell you, Mbeseha should get the message. But you know what? We're only talking about this issue because it concerns 3 Ambazonian traditional rulers. Tabetando, like my senior colleague actually described him, he's also the good parliamentary leader of the CPDM in the Senate. He lives in Yaoundé. He cannot go to Bachuentai for anything because the Ambazonian State Army is everywhere there. He cannot. So he has elected to live in Yaoundé, take as much crumbs as he can take. The same thing with Fonchafa. Fonchafa, since he became and is also a magistrate, he relocated to Yaoundé. I don't know whether he's working as a magistrate in Yaoundé or what, but he has been living in Yaoundé all through. He cannot go back to Ndo, wherever his village is. That's his village is in Gokutunja. He cannot go back there. So these are people who have abdicated their throne from Ambazonia, and therefore we don't consider them traditional rulers in our territory. So they are free to take all what the crumbs they can take from Yaoundé. But the message is clear, actually, to the regime that even the La Republique population does not want an old man of 92 years who is confined to a wheelchair to be their leader again. Yeah?
And it is quite ridiculous, Barrister Fru, that Biya pooping Biya that has lost his memory would need
even his audio, he cannot stop for more than 12 minutes.
Yeah, would now need chiefs or fonts or traditional rulers all across the triangle to endorse him for elections. What significance does that play? Let's even just look into the laws of that country. Of what importance is it? Is it a way of telling the people that, hey, your representatives is it worthy?
It's the first time it's happening, and I think it's a sign of desperation.
Is it a Tanganji overdoing? What is the calculation? I'm trying to get it because I cannot lay my hands on it.
Yeah, what I'm trying to say is that Tanganji might have initiated this thing by himself, because I don't know how Bia could have thought about traditional rulers endorsing him. It has never happened. So Tanganji, in trying to buy favor, has done this, and each one of those three from Ambazonia, and of course the rest from La Republique du Cameroon, received 7 million francs sitting fee.
So it was just a clean deal. Probably Tanganji has worked out a deal.
You saw the reaction in Betua, where an imam was talking, was in a mosque, talking very well about Povia, and he was attacked by his Muslim brothers. It's all about social media.
That's right. Yeah, we saw that. We had a lot from the news today, and we're not really very interested in processing that. So, Commander Willie,
yes.
Metabetandu is not far from where you were born, from the Manyu River. This one is Ndak. Maybe you want to react. You want to talk to us, Commander Willie, please.
Yes, Barrister Fru, you don't talk at all. My father been a court clerk when I was young. He tell me, say, when you see anybody fight against having Cameroon, not one of us. People like Tabetando, people them for Nigeria. So my papa get a list of many of these people them where they not come out for inside manual. Another one I will tell the Takunchok family. Many of those families, my papa get the record. If you tell one of the young boy, I know you pay attention, but now you see those things. When time for war come, the people where they stand with you, those are the chiefs and that, because they appoint chief. Chief now, the one when something happen for village, then the chief will stand for defend the people. Now the people go to say this person can be stand time for crisis, time for difficulties. Now they will make you chief. Them not by appointment way for be a CPM you can appoint them. Before I start first, I've been sort of tell and say, I'll be honest to say, inside Ambazonia, we get what we call mobile wing chiefs. Mobile wing chiefs, all the Ambazonia state army, they do for the various LG, they will call them mobile wing chiefs. So automatically, at any time, President Sako will say, all the traditional chiefs, they just stay low. That time, automatically, it will be taken that way, based on the order. will get the mobile wind chiefs so they manage their country. So what that problem is if you bribe all the local traditional chiefs, you know what water. Number two, 2 years ago or 3 years ago, when Tabitano became from Mampe, we come for Yaoundé, he became with them Amoka. When they look for Bajo, when they found Amoka, they actually say, you want to stop a village? It does say, oh, young man, about them, isn't no one that stop for the village, but they shoot me. Now, physical from Mampe, Iko Yaoundé, he never ever be back again healthy. He never ever be again healthy. I think when I see a proxy, for Mampe, like Ayota Concho, they run all their secret gang there. They are them for the sex stores that made the bond, so they made their own theft. Remember, saying that they shine for inside Mampe. Anybody want to compete for business or anything, they will go point finger, they go wipe them. They plan a Beko, they kill for the Beko. As soon as we see, they come from Mampe that time for November the 6th. They point out, say maybe we'll not go Beko tomorrow. That same night, they go wipe everybody because they already know. When they come, they come point people and say, do you want to die by gunshot? Do you want to die with belly? Do you want to die by this? Do you want to, if you don't be there for this, how you will do know how the people that die when you receive the chief? All they come from Mampe, they don't go to stay. Sorry, they go stay for Data Hotel for Army Camp Day, for Data Hotel. Because they don't say they don't stay any other place of Mampe. They don't get no place, Mabacho, everywhere they don't go. So why is people like that, they go shit up for it? They don't get no time for go forward, they don't go. Backward, they don't go. So when it comes to chiefs, when it comes to chiefs, me I know be chief. My papa no be chief, but my papa been a senior quarter head for Mampe, for the whole of Mampe and for all of Manu. So when they be organized for make chief for Manu, then chief Takwarako, it can be chief from Mbeseha, it can be. When my papa they go for those places, they carry me go. That are they that kind of 9-10-year-old. Then me I go when they want to say go call it for the quarter. Then me I the wrong call. When they want to organize quarter head, then me I go. So don't chief them. Everybody come from me that come from Mampe when they want to do anything. Mommy they make caller. Yeah, I kind of control about chief and business in the house. So I see all and I will get camera and snap pictures to that time. So I see the chiefs that they do, I see the way that they talk, I see how they behave. These chiefs don't come and see they come put and so we all know how they stand. We all know first time, but you didn't say chief. I don't go chief in business house for donkey of years. And I don't know what they as a talk of a woman or I see you don't show chief. I don't even follow it, you don't go follow person inside. Now chiefs don't can away man look at those chief for head. They say na Gary boy. So whatever Cameroon government do, made they do it. Last but not the least, Barrister Fru, I'm based on the attention. You are Barrister Mbeseha. When our former boss, Laurent Nsoh, it is sick cancer. The one can go France. Motonoli for carry go France. Ambulance no day for ya on the Nsahlais airport. Yesterday it happened on the 31st. Now in Nsahlais airport, now police officer carry for back. Move for ambulance, put up for it back. He carry for back, and it's not for carry go. Yes, I go by just reporter. I go by criminal journalist. I go by, but if you know it, I go by just write them up. He write them up. When I go by write something not true because me I grew up here for my PD. And if I'm a teacher, all the way me I know very well. They don't write that for social media. When I see Laurent Nsoh on a former colonial boss, they don't be treated. How I would expect probably I can't treat Ambazonian people then. When they don't be treat their own, they don't go to hospital. So when it comes to chiefs, all these chiefs, when they go, chiefs are there for gunpoint. Chiefs are there for gunpoint. When this war will start, you see, I'm saying, they come for your job, Cameroon government kill for your job chief. They kill one chief of president. So that for silence, they be quiet. But no matter what, no matter what, even the paramount chief of Mampe, he's a neutral person, he's a medical doctor, he be neutral. Now I will say medical doctor will hold and for politics. Now I will say medical doctor. Medical doctor, since when I be small, people that for the world, they sent it for Mampe Hospital, made a big Mampe Hospital. They put those television and everything.
It's okay. Go ahead. I just muted Barrister Fru.
Oh, sorry. The paramount for Mampe, for being Mampe Hospital, he put television there. Manu diaspora people, they send the thing there. That's how those small primary school, they go for back in the day. They send computer, send laptop, send it to put up for them. Since the Cameroon army, he born hospital for Mampe, I know I had that for you. The paramount for Mampe, he be sick. Although he work physically, so but inside, he be sick. Because now, because the born for Mampe, he grew for Mampe, he become a doctor. Inside Mampe, he developed a hospital, build a modern hospital for the whole world. Put television, put personal room there, then Cameroon army born him. I don't even I will woke up tomorrow and I said, "Now chief that if you go support Bobby, I'm not gonna believe him." So the bonus when people see the traditional chief of Mampe, he won't begin to get 25 A level, all A for Qs. They say make it 12 billion, 100 million, make the take it. They not take it. It's be bribe. So when I see they put chief them gun for neck, chief they for gun point. They did for gun point. So maybe not say as they carry the children for you, so the life of gun. They go out of their own will. They did for gun point. All those children in Ambazonia. Those were the sign for Islamophobia. They're not born Ambazonia. Because me, you, Barrister Fru John Nsoh, all we born Ambazonia by DNA as President Sakuto. By DNA, will not be related with La Republic. So those will be related by La Republic. They will know what she doesn't have the DNA belong like or be more like Tabetando. That's that. Like I see, they not be keep Tabetando chief long time ago. They not be giving chief long time ago. Then I see that they appointed as a chief. Look at fine, Paddy. Instead of manuculture, they need to give chief like that.
Yeah. Manuculture, though you feel get chief ties to where you don't grow rich on certain status, but they trace you.
They trace you. That when Patakarago die, Patakarago, the first chief of mine, he die. Then now they ask my pastor, he may be a senior man for country will be chief. He said no, you know people, you know get chief line. They give how they call it, this man chief Mbeseha, because if they be fighting for Second World War, if they be fighting, he said no, get for Chief Mbeseha when they fight. When Chief Mbeseha he died, the one can get for how they call it Agbota family. The one get for Agbota family. If you know Agbota's family, the one get for them and the Biate family. And then what they should do, they say no. May they no get for you. May they get for Chief Doctor Obed, President of Manape. Reason being that if he doctor, he will come with development, come with modern way. But person will forget the old ways in the same way. The way they don't go school, they be old school, they don't be rich French, they don't be talk. When they talk, French man will be respected. But when doctors stand talk, will be chief, you will get more power. They get for you and they say, "Papa, don't be chief," and they don't fight for developing the country. So when they put chief on what you don't do for the country, for developer. So as chief of Mampe did for this, so in a neutral man. So what they will carry him to
So if I understand you very well, it was citing the aspect of Tabetando, it's about a fraud recruited by a colonial government for their personal agenda. Barrister Fru, I would like to bring you back and Barrister Mbeseha and Commander Willie again as we're processing, and even at that they are being marginalized. So Barrister Fru, you may want to unmute your phone because I muted your sound. There was some background music coming from your sound, so that we can have this conversation. You may want to unmute yourself if you can hear me.
Okay.
That's good.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you very loud and clear. So this is what happened. The auxiliaries, I like the way Barrister Mbeseha has defined them. They are not traditional rulers. The auxiliaries are being marginalized, discriminated upon in their fraudulent activity. And then the people of Ambazonia as a whole are also being grossly marginalized in this entire setup, the triangle. I call it a triangle. I don't call it a nation because it is a forced union that is creating wars, is creating a war now, causing the lives of many. So we're getting into this last aspect of our analysis, which has to do with the terribly messed up, the bad roads of Ambazonia. Nothing is being done. You saw Onye gave a very good statistical report analyzing the scope of marginalization in comparison with the scope of even the roads that have been constructed in neighboring La Republique of Cameroon. According to that report, you saw that even smaller portions of La Republique of Cameroon have had much better development with the road networks and many other things at Ambazonia that happens to be the breadbasket of not just the two Cameroons put together, but the entire southern Cameroon. I begin with you, Barrister Mbeseha.
Well, for us to analyze all those things we call development projects, be it roads, be it schools, be it anything, you must be able to look back at what Yaoundé considers to be Cameroon. You see, from their notion of one and indivisible, which I analyzed in one of my articles not long ago, to something else. Before again we analyze it, let us look at it this way. Cameroon what they call Cameroon, that is French-speaking Cameroon. They have given up on everything in their lives, in their history, in anything, and transformed it into Ambazonia. And so they are symbolized by what Ambazonia is. This is not a joke. They have calculated this rightly or wrongly, and that's what they are doing. And let me give you an illustration to show what I'm trying to say. In the life of a nation, dates are important. Celebrations, public celebrations are important. In the history of Cameroon, for example, the head of state makes 3 outings, public outings in a year, officially. He makes an outing 31st of December, which marks the beginning of the year. That is almost worldwide. Most presidents do that. The next day, they make an outing in Cameroon publicly, the president. It's on the 11th of February. What does 11th of February mean to them? What does 11th of February mean? 11th of February is the date Southern Cameroonians had a plebiscite. Cameroon, the people of Cameroon had nothing to do with it, absolutely nothing. But they have adopted it to become their day. Whatever name they give it, but they have adopted it. It has nothing to become, to refer to them. The next outing that they have, publicly by the president, is 20th of May. What is 20th of May? 20th of May, they call it National Day. What is National Day? What does it mean? 20th of May is the day they abolished the Southern Cameroon institutions. It didn't abolish anything in the East Cameroon. They only abolished the government of West Cameroon, of Southern Cameroon, West Cameroon, call it. And then it has become a national day. So when we exit, as we're trying to exit them, we're going to go away with our 11th February. Shall they ever celebrate it again after that? No. They have nothing to celebrate on 11th February. We're going to go away with our 20th May, the day of our doom, the day of our death, the day of our total assimilation. Shall they ever celebrate it? Of course, no. They named Boulevard de 20 May for what? What would they be celebrating there? 20th May, the nation called Cameroon was not threatened. West was not seceding from the north. North was not seceding from the east. They were one entity called Cameroon. So 20th May has no meaning when we go away from it. And so that's their take on. They see, again, back to the roads that you're trying to talk about. I've mentioned this twice, 3, 4 times before. The best roads in the country are found in the west. Of the 18 divisions that they have, all of them have paved roads to the headquarters of each of the divisions. They are small geographically, but they have the best roads. But coincidentally, they are also neighbors to what they call the Northwest or Northern Zone. How many kilometers is it from Bunda to Santa? A few kilometers. They've tarred all the roads over there. They never made a mistake to tar the roads, just a short distance to Santa. They have other small roads that link up and up, so and those places. They have not made a mistake to put it on there. And so it is a design to assimilate us and to show that we are the defeated people, we are the captured people. It's not a mistake. It's not for lack of money. If it were for lack of money, they would have had the best roads in India. The Kondo Titi, you shot it there. They would have had the best roads there. Because that's all where the oil comes from. If it were for money's sake, they would have had the best roads in Victoria. Why? Because the waste product from the refinery, which they call the bitumen, instead of bringing it to tar the roads, the waste product called bitumen is used in tarring roads. But what do? They dump it as waste in the ocean for fear that Victoria will benefit from it. For fear that you could tar a road from Victoria to Buea, just 15, 16 kilometers. And so it is a deliberate attempt to subdue us, to make us beggars once and forever. Again, I've said, it's a discrimination. Otherwise, everybody has almost forgotten about the deal of a Dabato, who was captured in a Dabato. A Dabato is in India. Was it that they lacked the money to buy a flying ship, a flying boat, not ship? No, they didn't lack the money to buy a flying boat because individuals own flying boats over there. So when they adopted this man, they were taken away in a flying boat. His so-called Janams were watching, like birds watching in the air. They could not even go to follow it. Is it because they lack the money? No. They are giving that guy a Prado of probably $20-30 million, a francs. What did he do? They built a hut somewhere in the bush there. You can't park it there. Then walk, take a canoe, and go to Dabato. And live, not even in a permanent residence, live in a rest house. Maison de Passage. And so, all what you say, no matter how many kilometers of road are there, they have deliberately refused to do our own because we are a captured people. We should never have been there, but we are there. All the signs are there. We don't need to tell somebody that it's discrimination before they realize it. It is pure, absolute discrimination. It is pure, absolute punishment. But otherwise, we say this thing is done by France and the Cameroon. That is a fact. Where is the money the French ambassador promised back in the town? Just 6 months ago. 60 billion something for development in their so-called Northwest. And of course, as soon as he left, the bridges collapsed in the center of town, Commercial Avenue. They have not been rebuilt. They're sweeping everybody out there. And the excuse they have is they have tanks that are not walkable. They don't walk. It is a debt. And I think my last time I suppose that they transfer those dead things maybe from Bafoussam, from Yaoundé, and send them to Bamenda as a mockery. So you have a firefighting department, but it doesn't work. So short and simple, it is discrimination. Short and simple, it is punishment. Over to you.
Barrister Fru.
Yes, Paddy. Let me take another rough. You know, the Republic is not a fool. The people they have gotten the handwriting on the wall that we are no longer part of them. They have no interest in investing in our territory. They have no interest in talking about development in our territory. Case in point, you listen to Bia's speech, the 31st of December. He talked about industrialization of Cameroon. He talked about Kribi and Douala, where industries will be, factories and industries will be built for industrialization. He never mentioned Victoria, neither did he mention Tico or any of our territory. When it came to road, the only reason why he talked about Kumbai Kundu Titi is because in Bian is where they are stealing our resources. I want to tell you that, I want to tell all Ambazonians, let them listen very carefully. From 1961 that we joined these people, the only reason for building the Tico Douala road that takes right to Limbe and Edina was to go and take petrol from Sonara and to also take palm oil from CDC. Otherwise, La Republic has never been interested in developing the road network in Ambazonia. Another case in point, look at the way they have built the road to Bafoussam. After Bafoussam, Bunda, they ended in Babaju. From Babaju to get to Santa and get to Bamenda is hell. They don't want to get right to Babaju because Babaju is only about 1 kilometer to Santa, which is Ambazonia. The point I'm trying to make is that these people have treated us as second-class citizens right from the beginning. This time now that we're talking, you now know that somehow we are gone. So they have no interest in throwing money in our territory for any reason. Our people will suffer with the bad roads as they are until we have our sovereignty. and start reconstruction on our own. If we are waiting for La Republic Cameroon, it will never happen. It will never happen. Right now, if you heard the delegate of national security declare the state of road from Douala to Mutengene, where he went to preside over the graduation of police cadets in Mutengene Police College. He himself declared the state of road because he rode through that road and he suffered. Otherwise, he had no interest in talking about that piece of road. What I'm trying to say is that we should stop talking about La Republique not doing anything on our territory because they know they have already abandoned us. They are only sending soldiers with their big trucks that can go through the mud and fight us so that they can continue to steal the resources that they are stealing in the Gulf of Guinea and Dian.
Amazing.
So, in my opinion, this government has no interest in developing even 1 kilometer of road in Ambazonia because they have lost Ambazonia from their psychic. They have lost Ambazonia. That is the way I see it. Because you cannot imagine the road that was built from Douala to Tico, Mutengene, Victoria, and anything now has never been maintained and is all full of potholes now. It's unpassable because they don't have anything to take from Sonara to start with. They don't have anything to deliver to Sonara. They don't have anything to take from CDC palm oil, and therefore they are no longer interested in throwing bad money, the good money on a bad business. They are no longer they consider that Ambazonia is gone, even though they are not saying it. They know. They are not stupid. So that's my position. We should stop crying about La Republique de Cameroon not doing anything on our territory because they don't have an interest. We now have to fight on our own, liberate ourselves, and rebuild our country. That's the way it's got to be.
Yeah, I think I cannot agree any less with you. But there's a very important objective for us to present this report to the world, so that they get to understand some aspects of our anger and frustration as a people in this field setup. Commander Willie, please. Talk to us.
Yes, Mr. Paddy, if you not see, look, they don't kidnap we. All Ambazonians, they were ordered kidnapped. That Africa kidnapped us. No, Barrister, you will laugh. They don't kidnap we. When they kidnap you, you know what about road. As Barrister don't talk about. You need to explain nothing for road. But look at they don't kidnap we. I'll tell you why they kidnap we. And I'll give you an example. For Barombi, as they talk with Nsoh to Nsoh for Barombi for Kumba. They don't get water for drink. Now it go almost a year, they don't get water for drink. For making shit for Kumba, they don't get water for drink. Pipe water, no they for drink water. Correct. No they for correct. Now for Bamenda, they say they don't get light. Light no they. Inside Boya, they don't get light for 1 year. They don't get light, but they go back, Mr. Governor. Mr. Governor, government help. We can kidnap people. When they don't kidnap you, know the fire road. And parents don't talk about you can't be road for kidnap people that are waiting. They don't really kidnap you. We don't get water for drink. When they kidnap you, they starve water, starve for food, starve for everything. They don't kidnap you. But if we don't fight for the bread we ourselves and be with our own country as the barrister don't talk about, then they will demand mark time. And how we do Paddy, in the days ahead, the president will look into this. We're going to increase the number of ghost town. What are the last 3 days for the month to increase it for ghost town again? 5 days for the month, increase it for ghost town again. So they made it for put pressure for the people to make it come out. Yeah, for put pressure for the people to come out. We don't do the same thing. We don't do the same thing every time, expect the same result. Because look at, we use drastic measure push people out. We don't be for this war now 9 to 10 years. It's past 65 years. We don't be for this war. Now we don't come go now with this. 8 years now. 8 years. That's 65 because since 1960 whatever where the capture we correct. So when you look at it this way, when you don't give a very good report, that was not problem there. But advice I don't talk. People know the focus, but no focus on me. My pay picking the school fees. They don't be part of me. No focus on for like maybe we are. They don't be part of us. You see that? Yes. Yeah. So why you just say, oh, they never do not. How would I do something to you when like, I don't kidnap you? You get for shut up. Now order.
Period.
Now they don't kidnap us. We get for shut up. Any American diplomat say Ambazonians are not angry enough. Wait, never tell you. Say Ambazonians are not upset enough. It means we're going to check out everything. Where the people that they hold up for their neck. Check out everything, shoot everything, wipe everything. Now what time this? And then the one thought they say they will put on the front and they say we are a civil society. So now people don't go part of a civil society today. People don't get like civil society today. So people don't expect people don't get forgive us. People don't expect. Paddy, you say my buy you Pajero. Me no buy. See, I'm not buy you Pajero. Look at it that way, bro. We don't expect from two. They don't give us. These people don't have their own to give. They don't really standardize everything. I think long time ago, one of the bishop on ABC Group of France, and France say, oh, that assimilation process don't start for work. As soon as I did we talk so sometimes. Say to go France, and one of the French diplomats say, oh, that assimilation process for Anglophone, it really work. We don't put that into place. What did I want to tell you? They confess in front of a cardinal. Maybe we stand up with faith. Maybe we stand up for support our county, stand up support our LGA for push this solution forward. Last but not least, for Libya, I don't know whether they will come for this thing. 11 February they come.
Yeah.
11 February they come.
That's one of the reasons I brought you here.
Okay. 11 February they come. We're not going to tell some people they go march and they don't go march. We're there for war. When bullet catch you, now your own time for die. Now so in a war time this. Anything hold for road with the marginalization. People they know. No, that time for the one. When somebody say, I didn't want you. That time for one people for ground, it don't pass. That time for one people for ground, it don't pass. On the government already give a 3 days lockdown. Say on the 10, 11, and 12. And now we don't bring and say this 11 February, you will get a different name. That with the very whatever they call it, bilingualism and multiculturalism. When I want to know school, I call and find. On the 10th, I cry that. On the 11th, I burial, and the 12th after burial. So it already be buried on the 1st of this February. Because I told you they carry my family and they turn the preacher. So any of their work I don't see for any of the LG in the county, we know what else to go shoot it. Anybody can say if I'm going to person, let me talk. If this, we will shoot it. Because you refuse to acknowledge say we don't like captivity. You refuse to acknowledge say we don't catch you keeper for as slaves. We not feel breed. We not say for wrong go. So anything when you can hold for back, we will bite you, kill it.
Okay.
We for kill their way. Yes, or get freedom. Now all that I tell you.
That's amazing. Yeah, we're going to come to that. I'm happy, and that was one of the main reasons I brought you. 11 February Day is a fraud. You heard Barrister Mbeseha explaining it earlier on. But there's something very important that has a direct link with the first cause of our discussion here this evening. It has to do with the temporary protected status of many oppressed people around the world living in the United States of America. We understand how beneficiary this policy would have been to Ambazonians, particularly that are facing challenges either to have their documents established in the United States of America, or that could probably be eligible for some deportation into the dungeons of Cameroon. So actually, on Wednesday, the Washington Associated Press had this report, which says that Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem said that the Trump administration has revoked a decision that would have protected roughly 600,000 people from Venezuela from deportation, now putting some at risk of being removed from the country in about 2 months. Noem signed a notice reversing a move by her predecessor, Alejandro Mayorkas, in the waning days of the Biden administration to extend temporary protected status. The change is effective immediately and comes amid a slew of actions as the Trump administration works to make good on promises to crack down on illegal immigration and carry out the largest mass deportation effort in U.S. history. Now, before he left town, Mayorkas signed an order that said for 18 months they were going to extend this protection to people that are on temporary protected status, which meant that they were going to be able to stay here or stay in the United States of America and violate from the vintage point of the Trump administration and violate the laws of another 18 months. So this is the situation. The news has brought in fright among the Southern Cameroonian community, home and abroad. We've received calls from Ambazonians at home, worried if it's going to affect those living in America, either as refugees or those who are currently holding the TPS, as it is popularly called. I have the lawyers here who understand the technicalities involved, who understand the breadth and the depth of and the measure of this decision and who is affecting. But to the best of my knowledge, research has it that the TPS has been cancelled specifically for Venezuelans because of their criminal records, and statistic has it that the Venezuelan gang groups are creating mayhem for communities and families in the United States of America. But it's Mbeseha, I want you to examine some of these decisions, particularly let's focus on immigration, the TPS, the significance and importance, the political relevance of it, and why Trump chooses to initiated it in the first place, that was actualized by the Biden administration. We've heard in the press conference Trump actually sympathizing with Rwanda and even what is currently happening in Congo right now. We understand that the Trump administration has not categorically made any statements that are not favorable to the displaced persons of the Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia. But this fear is, and this announcement by Christine, is it anything to worry about? But Mbeseha, please talk to us.
Well, I think when we started earlier, more than a year ago, with temporary protected status, I had the opportunity to explain here. It's a temporary protection status. Protection from what? Protection from deportation. Because you are already on deportation. There are two arms of doing it. You are on a deportation. You don't just go. The next final one is removal. They remove you physically. They come and look for you. You're hiding here. They take you. That's removal. So these were the two stages. But they granted this temporary protected status, TPS. Their government, they are not. It's not an act of the legislator. It's a government order. They're like orders given by the government. They are temporary. They could expire. So they would expire. Even after this, they would expire. So, but if you are under that temporary protected status, for now, you are protected. But how do you get to be sure you are protected? Because they are so violent. The first thing, the ICE people, when they knock your door, they don't just catch you, they ask you to show your papers. Show a document while you're here. Maybe you have a driver license. Maybe you have a social security number. They ask for documents. So be sure that you have your documents with you. I'm unable to analyze who is excluded or not excluded. But Trump, being who he is, and he has his fans and fanatics who go out to do anything to claim to enforce the law. Again, your only protection is have your papers with you, whatever paperwork you have. If you have paperwork that justify your being here, you are documented. You are not undocumented. I said this earlier. So it is when you have no document at all, when you have no legal document to be here. If you were already on deportation, and they granted you extension, temporary protected status, protection from deportation. What does it mean? They realized that going back to where you were supposed to be deported was more dangerous than remaining where you are. So you are for now shielded from that status, or with that status. But you have papers in your back, given to you by your lawyer or somewhere, that if they hold you, show that up. And before ending segment, the people have reached out to me, asking if we can be able to get this lady, lawyer who was preaching this thing out, if we can get her on one of our programs. And that would be a good idea. I said I didn't know her, but if we can get her contacts, and she comes to explain this thing. People believe more in stranger than they believe in you and me. So that would be better. Thank you.
Yeah, Barrister Fru.
Yes, let me start from the beginning. If you entered through Mexico and you came to the and you were taken to the immigration post and processed in the computer, and they gave you from I-94 and gave you a court date,
yeah,
you are now documented. You cannot be removed because you have a court date and you have applied for asylum.
Yeah.
Now, when you, at the same time that you apply, when you come, you also have to apply for your work permit. When you have the work permit, it's an advantage, it's an added advantage for you to work and live in the United States. You are documented. You cannot be removed because you are undocumented. No. Secondly, TPS. TPS has been cancelled for several countries, Venezuela, Haiti, because of those of our people who were brought to Springfield, Ohio. You remember Trump said they eat dogs and they eat cats and so on, and that the people there are complaining about their dogs and their cats being eaten by the Haitians who are brought there by Biden to come and work. They have TPS. Trump has cancelled TPS for Venezuela, for Haiti, for several other countries. But for the Southern Cameroon, it is still intact. If you have applied for TPS, know that you have 18 months renewable. What makes it renewable? As long as the war in Ambazonia continues to rage, Francophone and Anglophones who are in the United States are benefiting from that protective order. It is still in force. And as far as asylum is concerned, Trump has put a halt to asylum applications. But it is not retroactive. If you are presently on asylum, you have nothing to fear because you are documented. But you cannot apply for asylum now. If you come to the border there, you will not even be processed. The border is closed, asylum is closed, every place is closed. So, for those of us who are living in the United States, Southern Cameroonians and Ambazonians, you have nothing to fear. If you are on TPS, you stay on TPS until your 18 months expire. You go and ask for renewal. They will renew it as long as that war is on. Trump has not made any derogatory remark or taken any decision against the Southern Cameroons, Ambazonia, because I think the administration knows what is happening over there. When you deport people, they go there and they are imprisoned. As soon as they arrive at the airport in Douala or Semalen, Yaoundé, they carry them to detention centers and carry them to Kondenge and to New Bell and lock them up. That is not what deportation means. That is why Biden went back and took those that Trump had deported against the 1951 law which protects
non-refoulement.
The 1951 convention that protects asylum seekers and refugees, and deported them to Southern Cameroon, and they were locked up. So he went back and collected some of them. I don't know whether he collected all. They are all here, and they have been given presidency. So Southern Cameroonians and all other Cameroonians have nothing to fear as far as this administration is concerned. That is what I have been. Where did I get this information from? My own lawyer.
Amazing.
So that is where we are now. So Southern Cameroonians, you have nothing to fear. But those that are coming in now, you have everything to fear, because you will not be given, you will not be allowed to apply for asylum. You will not. If you flew in because of with a visitor visa, make sure that you go back before your visa expires. Because after that, you become undocumented and you'll be subject to removal. Even those who are on removal before Trump came to power, if you have a TPS, you cannot be removed. Even if you don't have a PTS, you can still apply for PTS. You have up to June of 2025 to apply for PTS. Because I think it expires every June. I don't know. It was brought in 2023 and it's on now. And after 18 months, they will have to renew it. The war is still on, unless by that time the war is over and we are going back home. My brothers and sisters, you don't have anything to fear. This administration is not going to remove you, even if you are on a removal list. At least now. Thank you.
That's amazing. I think we're coming to the close of this program, and I want you, Commander Willie, to conclude it by briefing the general public with details of the 3 days lockdown. I'd like you to talk a little bit more on the 3 days lockdown before we get the conclusion of it. Oh no, before I even get in touch, before I even get you on board, I'd like Barrister Mbeseha to, very briefly, Barrister Mbeseha, very briefly, not more than 2 minutes, 90 seconds maximum. You want to tell our people why they must not, by any shape or form, by any means, physically, spiritually, online, directly or indirectly participate in this day organized and powered by Cameroon called 11 February, Youth Day. They call it 11 February Youth Day. Talk to us, Barrister Mbeseha. You have just a few seconds.
Well, I'd said it before. 11 February is the day that we should be mourning. That was the day we lay in a state of coma politically by voting to join the Republic of Cameroon. And 20th May was the day we were taken to the mortuary and buried. And so there's no reason to celebrate. As I've said earlier, that Yaoundé, Cameroon has bought it as their own national day for doing nothing but for us going down to the slaughterhouse by ourselves. And they also bought it 20th May and transformed it into their only 2 national days in a year, where the president comes out to cry, to rejoice at our death, for us to wear sackcloth, and there's no sackcloth removal until we get back to Boya. So no reasonable Ambazonian, young or old, man or woman, should ever go out to celebrate that. Over to you.
Amazing. Barrister Fru, please, before Commander Willie comes up.
Yes, 11 February, like my brother said, is the day that the United Nations committed the biggest fraud on the Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia. Because it was in violation of Resolution 1514, which authorized the administering authority, that the trusteeship British, to prepare us for independence. Instead of preparing us for independence, they connived with the French and came with their so-called 2 alternatives, which do not exist anywhere in international law. We are mourning that day, and it should not be a day for any of us to be seen out there. La Republic is using it now as a victory lap for them. Oh, the 11th February is being celebrated in Northwest and Southwest, which they call us. Please stay at home because you should be mourning. Even when you stay at home, wear a black cloth because it's a day of mourning. That is the day we died. And like my brother said, on the 20th of May, they put us in they remove us from the mortuary and buried us. That is it. We have 2 big days, 2 days that we cannot celebrate in Ambazonia. The 11th of February and 20th of May. Please, my country people, the lockdown from the 10th, 11th, and 12th is going to be a Mami Wata lockdown. Don't say we did not warn you, because if you step out there and something happens, you only have yourself to blame. The Ambazonian State Army will be all over the place. Anybody who violates this lockdown will pay a heavy price. Thank you.
Amazing. Commander Willie, please.
Yes, fellow Ambazonian State Army, shake no day. At this time for war, we not be warn nobody. The barrister don't really talk. The government don't give an order, say lockdown will be for 3 days. So as lockdown will be, every country for the world is be governed by the army. Every country and boundary for the world is protected by the army. And Ambazonia will be no exception. America don't get a new leadership. And the one still say Ambazonian government, he will get the control and command for that his own state army for ground. So by this order, Ambazonian state army will be activated. Today, February 1st, 2025, it be activated for carry out any operation, for clean out anything we want, for come push us back, hold us back for this war, for independence, war to fight. We never cross over the Republic for go fight for their country, but all the time we tell what we will do next. So anybody will come out on that day, on the 10th, on the 11th, and the 12th. That means that the people in that way they nail us. Anybody will come out on that day, that means that people in that way they hold you hostage. That means every one of us. Because our enemy, you will come out on that day for provoke we. Those with the way they march, they practice marching. Those where they practice anything for go celebrate on that day. Anything you see, I may take them. Before, during, or after that, they may take them. Those where they disobey lockdown they for home front. Anything when I see them, when I go take them. Then every time we can put in a basket for television. Now, those where they dance how the world they go. When I don't see for La Republique how Cameroon army he march, go for front, he hand over, he gone, and he uniform for the La Republique government. If we talk about Ambazonia, so it happened for La Republique, someone for doubt and say, no, we'll make this story up. When I don't say for TV live, how a Cameroonian soldier, he step forward, he hand a gun. One time that Cameroonian soldier where he hand a gun for a country, he don't fight for a country, and when time not reach for him for still, he hand over a weapon. Now for sure say the war where they fight the President Ambazonia, he get the right to fight the war. Because the time when the Cameroon army will take that oath, if you think about defending in national territory within a republic, you don't see no reason why you have Ambazonia can't shoot innocent people there. You don't see no reason why you go to fight for other countries not their own. And that way is where he go hand, he gone. Ambazonia state army when I go learn. Anytime you feel you don't want to fight again, hand your weapon to your commander. Don't carry your weapon, go get for the other center. When I don't see that Cameroon army carry gun from Ambazonia. Now for those who they catch Ambazonia state army there for army, for la republic. You are not die. When you catch one Ambazonia state army, you kill them, you yourself don't go be alive or testify. We will wipe you, make sure you play with you sleep, we wipe them, we make sure every day we wipe you. We never sit down when we don't catch La Republique army again from Ambazonia. So even as time we catch Ambazonia state army, no say you are not die. We thank all the Mama Papa the way they support us. May God bless us. But last but not the least, all those people the way Ambazonia government don't help them, may they get TPS. Now because Ambazonia government it defiled document them, America recognize and will protect all those Ambazonia people don't come for America. Now someone I go reach for government say make it give them documentation for sure to Ambazonia. Me I go beg President Dr. Samuel Seke comment. Say no go extend the hand carelessly again. He will ask you, what if you don't do? That they don't give for you last year. If you don't support your county, if you don't support your LGA, if you don't support your government, since you don't want to connect, say the government they will protect you for year. You don't carry it by your own power. We want to get TPS. TPS they give because the Ambazonian government, the federal government of Ambazonia, President Sako put a document in, I mean they recognize we. So when you come from Ambazonia, they recognize that way they protect me, they don't deport you. Now because say people that Barrister Fru the day for year for 5 and Barrister Mbeseha, they will 5 document them under the government too, make them protect and recognize we. So they don't come, they don't give paper, they give document for work. You for $1, say Papa, now my own money do I support and every world you go forward. You say no, I don't do for that nothing. After I don't get a paper, you draw yourself back. If the government will be, who's are you for be? Nobody will send you back. And those they send back for Cameroon government take them, proximally, you go kill some of them, shoot some of them. When I don't see them. So now, I will use this president, rather than former American president talk. Ask what you can do for your country, not what your country can do for you. Why they don't give a CPS protection service? Call me, call Paddy, call the Barrister Fru, call the government. Say, Pa, how many people do to support my own $1? We'll guide you on how for the support we own $1. So I'm not going to our own country, we will go shoot up for them. When I say, Mommy and Papa them, and then February they come again. They might not waste time for go sell job. Or when I go for go dance, when I go dance, if you be artist for instance Ambazonia, you go dance, they will catch you, will shoot you. Either will shoot you before, they don't after. If you go dance on February, that means you dance them, they made a nail way. With the dance them will remain hostage forever. Until then, Ambazonia will still be under hostage situation. Until they will free us and we will free ourselves. Maybe we don't wait for white man. We'll go shoot our way to freedom. America, Trump don't talk up. So they fight the British. They shoot the British out. France, if we fight, they shoot the other people out. Then France be free. Maybe we not don't say maybe other people can fight for we. Maybe we'll fight, we'll shoot our way to victory. Over to you. At the group now.
Amazing. Thank you all very much, Barrister Fru, Barrister Mbeseha, Commander Willie, for dedicating time to talk with us. It's been amazing, as you all would have heard and be encouraged. Maybe I should just add, not with people like Tibonach and the current person at the State Department that are directly advising Trump, will they consider revoking the TPS for Southern Cameroonians. But you may require a lot more support, attestations, and evidence of your claims. And lots of you keep calling me and calling the government when you need that. But when the government needs you for humanitarian efforts, you're nowhere to be found. I personally believe that it is the height of witchcraft practice for you to lobby the Ambazonian liberation movement to seek for asylum in the United States of America and then turn around to tell us that will nothing. Honestly, you may never make heaven. That is the height of witchcraft. Well, we've had an interesting discussion. No need to fear, no cause for concern. If you're living in America documented by any form, if you are legal in your activities, you're not involved in fraudulent activities like the Nsahlais family, you don't need to worry. America is a country of war. You will not be kidnapped like what is done in Nigeria. You will not be beaten or brutalized by any immigration or military. The President Donald Trump is just doing what he has to do for his people, for his nation, to protect his country. And that is why they voted him into office. You may not agree with it, but Americans have spoken. His agenda, the major slogan of MAGA, is put America first. If Trump senses at any time that America's interest is at jeopardy, he really doesn't care what you think. And you can't blame him for that. Africa is what it is today because we have leaders in Africa that have always put Africa not even second, not even third. They put the imperialists, impose their way as first, They put themselves and their family second, third, fourth, fifth, seventh, and the people and the nations in Africa are put last. Now, for those who are doing business, they'll tell you the stock market, the Bitcoin, trading, the markets are making progress ever since the emergence of Trump. America is feared around the world more as we speak. So is he doing good for America? Yes. Is he doing good for Ambazonia? Not sure yet. Is he doing good for any other country in the world? Not certain. Is he trying to make America safer by going after Venezuelan gang members, kidnappers and criminals invading the city? Yes. What's his crime? Probably because he wants to make America world superpower over and over again. So that's it for Ambazonia this week. On top of our discussion was an examination of the fraudulent activities of Nsahlais Emmanuel, which provoked us to also look into the criminal case of his sister. Nsahlais thought that with his activities, his fraudulent activities, he was going to, by some means, intimidate or continuously intimidate, manipulate the people of the Southern Cameroons in the diaspora to cower away from a genuine liberation movement, the Ambazonian liberation movement. He didn't see this coming. He didn't see this coming. And you'll be hearing from the government of Ambazonia that is audaciously and unwaveringly taking this proactive move. Until next time, it's been Tarh Paddy King. Stay tuned.
Stand with Ambazonia. Empower ABC Amba TV. We are calling on Ambazonians around the world to unite and uplift ABC Amba TV, Ambazonian Broadcasting Corporation. In this critical time of war, ensuring the station's survival is more important than ever. But what does ABC Amba TV truly represent for Ambazonia?
At the heart of Ambazonia's war of independence, ABC Amba TV stands as a beacon. Years of recolonization, annexation, and French Cameroon's oppressive occupation of the southern Cameroon's Ambazonia have led to our exclusion. Our identity was hidden, our history distorted, our sovereignty denied. Queen of England is aware that the British Southern Cameroons were never a colony under France.
Since its inception in 2018, ABC Amba TV has been our lifeline.
Months of diplomacy have failed to resolve the crisis as fear grows over an imminent Russian invasion of Ukraine.
Our work in the dark is our chance to tell our stories to the world, to give voice to the voiceless and broadcast the truth of our struggle.
We are serious about executing this revolution.
It has become a vital arm of our government in wartime, making diplomacy achievable and showcasing our untold stories.
ABC Amba, you guys know how important ABC is for this, our quest for international recognition.
Your donations can make a world of difference. Every bit of support helps keep our stories alive, our presence known, and our fight in the global conversation.
The moment they notice that we are no longer on air, they think that, oh, maybe La Republic has succeeded. This is about Ambazonia. One thing we must always remember.
Where would we be without ABC Amba TV? Let's ensure we never have to find out.
A revolution is a temporary state of insanity to bring about sanity.
Mobilize, donate, stand with Ambazonia. Donate to ABC Amba TV.
Together, let's write the next chapter of our history.
It is better to light the candle than to curse the dark.
Support ABC Amba TV campaign. Ambazonia Independence, voice for the voiceless. Mobilize for change. The silent struggle of southern Cameroon's Ambazonia. A chronicle of escalating refugee crisis, human rights abuses, and global indifference. Dive into the heart-wrenching narrative of southern Cameroon's, also known as Ambazonia, where a relentless refugee crisis and rampant human rights abuses unfold amidst a backdrop of international neglect. Explore the untold stories of resilience, despair, and the urgent need for global attention and intervention.
I want to thank our head, Mr. Sako, for the kind gesture we give President Sako for we Ambazonian land. Some of us we are disabled, and because of war, I lost my family, my wife, my children. I have only my grandchildren living with me. So once they make continue to give us this gesture, because some of us who don't have means, but some will get some small thing for ourselves. I don't have the strength to stand and do something with one leg.
I am appealing for humanitarian support for my people. Ambazonian refugees need our help. In a world brimming with indifference, we are compelled by duty, compassion, and an undying need for justice to raise our voices for the unheard. The plight of the southern Cameroon's Ambazonian refugees cries out for immediate action. War, displacement, and marginalization have plunged innocent lives into unfathomable suffering. Can we turn a blind eye to such human agony? In the name of our shared humanity, we must act, and we must act now.
A cry for justice and compassion, the untold sufferings in Ambazonia. While it is no news that war exacts a profound toll on societies, tearing apart communities and fracturing families. However, the conflict between the Cameroons and Ambazonia, the southern Cameroons, has been ongoing for over 8 heartbreaking years. This brutal conflict not only epitomizes devastation, leading to the displacement of over 2 million people, but it also thrusts into light a harrowing modern-day genocide.
When the sound of gunfire pierced the serene skies over southern Cameroon's Ambazonia, a thriving community was thrust into a relentless storm of chaos and despair. Decades of socio-political inequalities, marginalization, and a belligerent occupation escalated into a brutal conflict, the effects of which have reverberated far beyond the nation's borders. Innocent civilians, our sons and daughters, mothers and fathers, are now faceless statistics in the stark realities of war, displaced, terrified, and forsaken.
It is sad to say that this is not just a struggle for survival, but a dire quest for basic human dignity. We have seen women and children in broad daylight, the most vulnerable pillars of every society, have been uprooted from their homes. They journeyed to far distant lands seeking refuge, but found themselves ensnared in different webs of suffering. The journey alone offers a taste of the brutality ahead. Countless souls have not only succumbed to the treacherous terrains of the Darien Gap in Southern America, but also the roasting deserts in North Africa, with some wasting in the high sea, seeking for safety and greener pastures. A harsh testament to the shared desperation driving the young men and women and youth's exodus.
The people of Ambazonia suffer under the weight of intrusion, aggression, and recolonization by French Cameroon, with little to no international intervention. It is profoundly troubling that the global community continues to turn a blind eye why this humanitarian catastrophe is being overlooked and underestimated by credible human rights organizations remains a mystery.
As healthcare professionals and political activists committed to a just, healthy, and humane world, it is incumbent upon us to demand immediate international attention to this humanitarian crisis. We call upon world governments, humanitarian organizations, and individuals of conscience to heed the cry for justice. Humanitarian aid must be mobilized to provide food, shelter, and medical care. Efforts must hinge on creating safe corridors for those in transit and fair asylum processes for those who reach host countries.
Human rights reporting and underestimation of displacement figures by credible humanitarian organizations. Accurate reporting on the crisis in southern Cameroon is gravely impacted by intimidation tactics employed by the oppressive regime of Biya, leading to significant underestimation of displacement figures. While the UNHCR reports approximately 87,000 Cameroonian refugees in Nigeria as of March 2024, Ambazonian authorities, who receive daily figures from their people on the ground, assert that the actual number exceeds 400,000. This disparity underscores the severity and human cost of the situation. The challenges do not end with reporting inaccuracies. The Nigerian government authorities have reportedly interfered with the UNHCR processes of identifying and registering refugees, which may explain why many refugees have reported being denied registration by UNHCR representatives on the ground in Nigeria. Tragically, even those who managed to get registered have not received any support from the UNHCR for over a year now. The little aid that was initially provided was abruptly stopped without any explanation, leaving the refugees in limbo and grappling with uncertainty and despair.
Standing at the precipice of this humanitarian disaster, the world has a choice: to ignore the needs of Southern Cameroonians, Ambazonians, refugees, or to rally behind their quest for dignity and justice. This is our moment to rise above the noise of political rhetoric and take decisive action. Let us not allow our generation to be remembered for its willful ignorance, but for its steadfast commitment to human dignity.
Meanwhile, the French Cameroonian authorities have also reportedly interfered with and restricted the operations of human rights organizations such as Amnesty International, Doctors Without Borders, and even the UNHCR within Cameroon. These organizations, which champion the cause of human dignity worldwide, face obstacles that hinder their ability to provide essential aid and bear witness to the atrocities unfolding in the sub-Saharan African region.
Voices of displacement, the struggle of Ambazonian refugees in Nigeria. Life as an Ambazonian refugee in Nigeria is fraught with unimaginable hardship, with limited access to healthcare, rampant food insecurity, and scant economic opportunities. Many find themselves in a relentless struggle for survival. Despite recent efforts from humanitarian organizations and the Ambazonian government, the aid provided falls heartbreakingly short. In my 3 years of reporting on the ground, I have witnessed heart-wrenching realities: infants succumbing to hunger, young girls turning to prostitution out of desperation, and refugees driven to suicide by the sheer hopelessness of their circumstances. It is devastating to see that many would rather face the perilous journey through places like the Darien Gap than return home.
These desperate people are not so much concerned about the identity crisis because they are actually faced with an existential threat and have completely lost trust in all governments and institutions or organizations that are expected to provide urgent humanitarian assistance, as we observe in other areas where there are crises in the world, for example, in Ukraine and in the Middle East. The question then becomes, are they less of a citizen of this world? Or is this a race issue? Or is this deliberate neglect? We're therefore calling on the United Nations, and especially the UNHCR, and all other humanitarian organizations, the displaced persons, and the refugees from the southern Cameroons deserve assistance like any other people who are victims of war. We therefore call on these organizations to be fair, to be just, and to treat the refugees of the southern Cameroons with respect and dignity, because they are also children of this universe.
Over 80% of Ambazonian refugees lack adequate shelter, leaving them vulnerable to harsh weather and security threats. Alarmingly, the same number of school-aged children have no access to formal education, deeming their future prospects and continuing the vicious cycle of poverty. The gender-based violence is another grim reality, with limited protection mechanisms in place to shield these refugees from sexual assaults and domestic abuse.
In the throes of such adversity, the humanitarian spirit urges us not to overlook the plight of these displaced individuals. Accurate and transparent reporting, coupled with prioritized humanitarian assistance, is not just a logistical necessity, but a profound act of compassion. Every underreported statistic, every unassisted refugee represents a life in turmoil, a child robbed of their childhood, a family torn apart, a community devastated. The international community must respond with urgency and empathy. It is time for solidarity to transcend borders and for human compassion to drive actionable change. We must amplify the voices of the displaced, challenge the barriers to truth, and ensure that no soul is left behind in the shadows of this humanitarian crisis. Only then can we honor the intrinsic value of human life and uphold the principles of justice and equality that lie at the heart of human rights advocacy.
The Norwegian Refugee Council has shed light on one of the world's most underreported humanitarian crises, the plight of the southern Cameroons, or what they call the Anglophone crisis. The anguish faced by the Ambazonian people is a heart-wrenching, and the silence surrounding their struggle is deafening. It is suggested that powerful interests, especially France's stake in the southern Cameroon's resources, could be fueling this tragic silence.
This genocidal war declared on us by the 90-year-old dictator Paul Biya on the 30th of November 2017 is raging, and our people are going through this horror in pain and in plain sight while the world watches on. This is our reality daily.
We must listen to the stories of these refugees. We must face the truths that these statistics reveal and push harder for meaningful change. We owe it to them to ensure that their voices aren't just heard but acted upon.